Hello everyone and welcome to day 3 of the European Contenders Trials. I am Waffles for Sid, joined by fellow Californian Amintus, and we will be joining you for all the action today. Amintus, good morning to you, and how are you feeling going into today's matches?
I'm feeling great. I am feeling like every stereotypical Californian. We're going to eat some avocado toast. Got a nice early breakfast in before we got to watch these matches. And the two games we have today are, I'd say, probably the most impactful we've had so far. We've got, for our first match, O1 Esports versus Aw Yeah. And then second up, we're going to have Rebrand in Progress, aka Old and Bored, versus Sheer Cold. And the reason why I want to highlight the impact of these matches is because so far we had limited looks at what all of these teams are capable of, who they're good against, how good they are relative to the rest of the field.
Yeah.
And right now, O1 Esports and Aw Yeah are both sitting at, I believe, 2-0. So this is kind of their moment to distinguish themselves from the rest of the pack, so to speak.
And, O1 Esports, Aw Yeah used to be O2 Esports. They come from the same org, so there's going to be a lot of familiarity between the two as far as expectations of some of the tricks in the books. I'm wondering, is that going to give them an edge, or who's actually going to maybe suffer from not having all of those, different ins and outs known?
Well, I'm not exactly sure if they came from the same org. I'm pretty sure just an open division. It was previously known as Avoided. They just decided to name themselves O2 Esports as a joke of some sorts. Nonetheless, they actually do have a lot of similarities. O1 Esports, very proficient on ball Pharah. We've seen a lot of different dive looks from them, but a lot of them have involved those aerial heroes in the sky, typically the Pharah piloted by Goku. And then on the other side of Aw Yeah, we have something that I don't think I've really seen at the tier 2 level before. They just decided to pick up a really good streamer when it comes to one hero and have him one trick. And that streamer is Necros. He's playing Genji for them. And so far, he has been putting up some insane performances. They haven't dropped a map yet.
And, that begs the question of who is going to step up and either shut down Necros, or, is Necros just going to be this force that is dominating and pretty much unhindered when he wants to go in the back line and slice people up with that blade? He's gotten a lot of support from his teammates as well, though, but, it's about enabling those DPS, and, well, we'll have to see if they can keep doing that on top of it.
Absolutely. It really is about the enablers that give the DPS, particularly the one-trick DPS, all the resources that they need to pop off. Because, obviously, Goku in the skies on Pharah needs that Mercy Pocket, and he's going to need Peel from a Diva. IMO97 so far has been pretty capable in the past, but against a team like Aw Yeah, where a lot of this damage is very difficult to matrix down on a Diva, things like a Genji dash, it's very difficult to avoid, even in the sky. So I'm going to be really interested to see that matchup between the Pharah and the Genji, which one gets to pop off harder. And at the end of the day, I think that's going to be the defining factor in this match. This DPS lineup between these two teams, so stacked with individual talent, and they have supporting pieces to help them through a lot of these tougher, longer fights.
Yeah, well, you were talking earlier as well about the ball players and how impactful they are in, helping enable some of the DPS. And, well, my eyes are also going to be on how much are they able to capitalize and communicate those low health targets with each other and just polish them off real quick. We saw Aw Yeah have a really good ult rotation economy with those different resources like the minefield and the blade. And, well, it's going to be tough to push into so many impactful and just large, devastating capacity ultimates.
Absolutely. Something that went kind of under the radar, I would say, was Kaiser's performance on Sombra when he was substituted in over PvPX on that Junkrat. I think Kaiser is one of those players that has been around for such a long time. You can reliably put him into basically any situation and expect him to, at the very least, try his hardest to perform and put up some decent results. Nonetheless, when he was on Sombra, he was making so much of a difference with every single EMP that enemy teams just really struggled to even crack past that first point of fight. So coming into this match, I think O1 Esports has their work cut out for them. They know who's playing. They're loaded into the lobby. They can see that Kaiser is going to be starting on DPS over PvPX. So they have to be expecting less Junkrat and a lot more flexibility.
And it's going to be that flexibility that will be key for whoever can truly get more of an edge over all of these individual DPS plays we're probably going to see performed. And some of that support, the DPS can't do anything without the enablement of their supports and without giving them that sustainability from some of that chip damage so they can get aggressive and get in there and get the work done like we saw from those EMPs, just catching so many people in the back.
Something to note as well going into this would be the past performance of both of these teams. O1 Esports has had a bit of a rocky time with things recently. They've been kind of a mainstay at the top of Tier 3 on the European side of things. They've made it to Trials before, but never was able to crack into Contenders, just barely missing it their last time around at 5th place out of 6th. So they were unable to make it. So at this point, they are really trying their hardest to make it back to that level. Whereas Oh Yeah has been kind of around for a very long time now under a lot of different banners. I think most notably Avoided, the most popular iteration of this team. So far, I think they had a bit of a struggle with it this most recent Trials. They went 1-5, but now bringing in Necro seems to have changed everything for them. It'll be really interesting to see how that Genji adapts into the style of O1 Esports.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, in response to such a powerhouse, like I mentioned, can they shut down this force that has just been essentially cleaving through the teams left and right? We saw a very dominant performance on the Genji, and with Oh Yeah not having lost a single map of Mentis, I'm like, do they even care what map they go to at this point?
I don't really know. That was something we were discussing in the pregame as well. We have yet to see Oh Yeah put, in their comfort zone, right? They haven't lost the map and then had the opportunity to define the terms of engagement. Nonetheless, we're going to be going to Busan for our first map, and when I'm considering all 3 sub-maps of our first control here, I think this might favor O1 Esports a little bit. You've got a lot more ceiling room to work with to enable Pharah on 2 of the 3 sub-maps. Everything outside of Mecha Base seems to be a decent spot for the kind of comps that we're going to see out of both of these teams. It's just, I think it does favor that Pharah a little bit more. We were talking a little bit previously about some of the balance changes that might influence the outcome of some of these Trials matches, and one of the biggest ones was the hit scan fall off nerf, which basically means from really far away, Pharah is almost impossible to remove, even with characters like Widowmaker on the field. You can land headshots, sure, but it's kind of a coin flip. Other heroes like McCree and Soldier in the past have been very consistently able to pressure out Pharahs. And now, with Oh Yeah coming in with essentially a Genji one-trick and Necros, there's really no hit scan threats left, except maybe the support line. I think we might actually see some Ana play coming in, and maybe that's how they wing clip the Pharah.
It's going to be tough, and there's also the option of, okay, we know that they like to play Pharah. We know that Oh Yeah favors more of the Genji comp. Can you play the Genji comp better and with more threats than what they're presenting with the Pharah comp, right? You can either counter them or make them counter you, and that's what I'm going to be looking to for these teams as well.
Interesting that you mentioned the Genji, because I did take another look here. We don't have Necros in for the first map, surprisingly enough. I think potentially Oh Yeah came into Busan and recognized, okay, well, maybe this isn't the best place to force Genji. So let's sub in one of our subs. We'll get a better look at who exactly that is as we load into the series, but surprising absence in the lobby right now. Nonetheless, I think that's going to weigh heavily on the minds of O1 Esports. They're racking their brains trying to figure out, now what are they going to do?
Well, and that is definitely probably one of the benefits of being well known for a certain composition, is that everyone has prepared a recipe to counter you or to counter you if they can. And when you just blatantly changed up a major piece of that recipe they were trying to account for,
Ooh, looks like we got a bit of a disconnect from Waffles. Nonetheless,
kind of curveball are they?
Oh, she's back. Hi.
Are
Sorry
we back?
about that.
Maybe not. Hey, so what was it? Could either I mean, the O1 Esports is going to have to be diverse and handle the change-up last minute with Necros not being in on the Genji.
Exactly. I think that's something they're very capable of as well. Problem is, they have Goku in to start, and that's basically locking them into that Pharah style, so they can't make adaptations necessarily in hero selection. It's going to have to be through the gameplay, through how they focus out individual targets. And coming into our first submap of Mecha Base, I don't think Goku's going to have an easy time with it. These ceilings are just way too low to force the Pharah. So going in, I think we might have to see a bit of a skew, and if he does try to play Pharah, it's going to have to be something so spectacularly different from what we've seen from them in the past that it catches Aw Yeah off guard. Nonetheless, I think Aw Yeah has the big advantage here. We actually fully lost Waffles in the voice chat here, so I guess I'm going to be solo casting briefly. Start off this match. We've got Aw Yeah versus O1 Esports in the spawn room. Already we can see Kaiser back on that Stormer that we saw previously. And Isaac in for the sub-role DPS. He's actually starting on McCree here. And we did briefly touch on what Goku might be playing. We actually have him coming in on Soldier, and I believe Waffles did just rejoin. Glad to have you back.
Hey, what's up? Thank you so much. And, so hop back into the game. Take it away a little bit longer for me.
For sure. Okay, Goku coming back on Pharah now. Flops back over from Soldier. Aw Yeah, flanking on this top left side. Kaiser playing things a little bit slowly alongside his ball in Chasm, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. And that time is now. They found one. They push him quickly, but the boop comes in from Imo to defend from the slam. Hack comes onto Apples from Kaiser, and that is a very lonely wrecking ball. He's gone instantly. Both of them actually sleeping on the job, caught out, but it's Aw Yeah that actually manages to recover first. And these hacks from Kaiser are leading into individual picks on these tanks so consistently. That's 2 for 2 now. Even though trade kills come back from the DPS, Aw Yeah has the initial advantage. They just need to take it to points. Kaiser drops, storming out Goku, manages to win the duel with 6 HP, gets the health pack hacked as well. The point has still not flipped, so neither team taking up percentage just yet, but again, Aw Yeah, coming back strong. I'm Special has been alive this entire time on the Zarya, maintaining that charge and is able to use it to laser down anybody from O1 Esports. That stabilizes and comes back in. Finally, Aw Yeah manages to capture the objective. I can see if Sid's back, I think. So,
okay, maybe, yes, okay, hey. Fantastic. Hey, what's up? And, well, now Esports O1 still trying to hold and push this point forward here. Aw Yeah has possession, and what you can see, they have the minefield online, looking to try and zone people out of Mentis.
The window comes out from Abs, even though he dies. I think it's bought enough space in time for the rest of Aw Yeah to come through until Chasm goes down. Kaiser and Isaac have to be the heroes. High Noon channeled, but it's forced out almost instantly. Everyone from O1 is hiding and singling out the members of Aw Yeah over time. This recontest is going to prove fruitful. They will flip.
Aw Yeah now gonna have the minefield online to try and re-engage with it, but oh, that late pick is gonna be tough for them. They have to wait for their DPS to walk back but be in full strength. We see here Kaiser scoping out the middle, but man, Goku has been a threat and a monster on this Pharah, and nanoed up, goes for the close barrage, is slept out of it, but woken up instantly, Amentis, and still has the nano to put in deadly damage coming through.
I'm Special just cannot bear the brunt of all the DPS coming through. Late Valk from Navalera as well to sustain a bit of a deeper engage coming through on O1. They're chasing out a lot of these straggled members from Aw Yeah, and that's going to lead to a kill on Kaiser. Leave Chasm out to dry as well. O1 Esports has actually built an advantage in percentage, and it's not stopping anytime soon.
Oh, and some more pepper damage coming through from UB here on the back. Recall is forced out early. Aw Yeah, trying to push forward here, but man, it is looking good for O1 Esports. Oh, UB does manage to fall down very early. Goku's going up high, trying to get a better vantage point, but he's taking too much time. His teammates have fallen in the process, and now Aw Yeah getting the traction they need to move forward and take the point.
They break through the defense of O1 Esports basically undetected. Goku and Navalera went on that off angle to take the elevator to try to flank around. But in the meantime, they just pressured the objective and flipped it right back. And now with control, they've got 4 very key ultimates online. The EMP in particular from Kaiser can shut out this entire...
Oh! 2-man's clipped here by the EMP. There's already a kill following up on it. Goku goes down, but can they continue to hold strong? They lost a big amount of damage with the Zarya going down, and that's the flip coming through from O1 Esports. It looks like they're going to be able to move forward.
No way!
Oh, no, at the last moment, that's it! They've defended and held strong!
The mines from Chasm, they just come out right when O1 Esports least expects it. They're like, okay, we survived the EMP. We can go to point now. And no, the Wrecking Ball comes through for and just completely shuts out that aggressive push. 90% in counting. And with this grab, this nano, this window, it is looking rough for O1.
Man, they got to push into so much right now, Amintus, and that is not what I would want to push into. Oh, no, they've already taken out the main support from O1 as well. Anna's getting targeted in the back alone, and with more kills coming in for it is looking grim for O1 as the OT bar trickles down, and it's going to be a first map take for
And honestly, it was looking really nice for O1 at times, but that style from that we saw in a lot of their previous matches where, yes, you can get through one specific portion of the composition, but there is so many other threats that are so capable throughout all of this roster. All 6 players are capable of stepping up when the team needs it, and that style is so nice to have on Control when you have capture percentage ticking up for yourself. If the enemy team is coming through and they break through that initial barrier, they have to get through every single layer of this Matryoshka doll of the defense. It's just so difficult with Pharah.
It is, and with the constant bombardment from the top and overhead, there's so much pressure onto Isaac to actually take her down, and Kaiser as well. Can they mitigate that?
They've been doing it so far, but now that the ceilings are a little bit wider, Isaac has to play a little further away, which also means that he's not dealing as much damage to the Mercy Pharah combo in the skies. Trying to get set up in a good spot, but in the meantime, it seems like O1 Esports are setting up their own attack.
O1 Esports here going around the side, and well, we see that bombardment constantly from Goku. Asleep onto Apples in the back when we're not quite looking at him, but he goes down additionally. That's the capitalization needed from to get the control of this point and will really hold strong afterwards.
Late trade kills, but I think this is going to favor in the end of things, yes. Getting the shutdown onto Apples on Wrecking Ball is pretty key for because it also allows this backline of Anna Baptiste to make sure that they don't have to worry too much about additional damage coming through. Obviously, this fight is not going to be given up just yet. O1 Esports still trying their hardest, but point flips over. Late kill onto Isaac, so this might be a 5v6 coming up.
And Navalera goes down afterwards, so Goku's not going to have nearly as much damage output without his pocket that he is used to, Amintus.
Has to go back to spawn to taxi Navalera back. Taking up more percentage, but this far from Goku, just finding pick after pick. This is throwing a lot of wrenches in Ya's plans. They're maintaining control still, but it's not easy.
Well, and I saw Yubi there in the kill feed with him, so there's a lot of vision and information coming through from him, letting his team know those low health targets. Isaac goes ahead, gets that nano, and is hacked. Doesn't matter though, pops Yubi in the process and is continuing to try and shoot the damage out. Goku answers with his own barrage. The tracking on these rockets are nasty and pops him right in the face, continuing to try to hunt for those supports in the back. Almost gets the fade away, but is going to be pressured back just a bit.
We've seen multiple times now that Goku is losing the supporting members around him, but that is not deterring him from staying in these fights. He's still trying to flip it back in favor of O1 Esports, and it's consistently working now. Previously on the last map, when he lost his Mercy or his Ana, it was a lot harder, but now with these ceilings, with extra terrain, he can stay alive for longer in these fights.
High noon pop from Isaac, and it's comboed with that EMP. No one can run anywhere, and Apples gets caught out with the high noon there. The DMET comes through, and the EMP following up. 3 people from hacked, and well, they are going down, but Isaac does manage to take a couple of them with him.
O1 Esports, they're not giving up as usual. Chasm has something to say about it, though. He's pushing down this Mercy, trying to track her. Oh, just barely gets it before he goes down in his own right. Kaiser trading out with Apples once again. That wrecking ball from O1 Esports has been getting shut out so consistently now. And even as 60% hits for O1 Esports, is going to have full map control. They've got ults coming online soon. And if they continue to force this wrecking ball away, they're going to have an easy time holding.
Yeah, it has been tough for the Wrecking Ball as Kaiser has been on fire with the Sombra, and he's in the back hunting for the supports. There is D.Va there to reinforce and force to recall. Mentis Apples already got picked.
Yeah,
Come back again. Oh no.
You just have to run away. You have to give up now. If your ball is gone, you cannot get these engages started. Apple's getting hacked in his own spawn and farmed by Kaiser for more EMP charge. Yubi is now getting shut out by Isaac, but the late matrix comes through. It's not enough.
Yeah, they tried the defense matrix and couldn't keep him alive. Now, getting tons of kills in the kill feed as Cool Boy gets, comes up hot. Oh man, all supports all day.
It is hot and it's cold. No Katy Perry required for And again, even though there's a lot of trading back and forth with both of these teams, and the DPS have ults for O1 Esports, the EMP is online for Kaiser, and he has the onus to get this engage started. He defines the terms of engagements, and Chasm is ready to follow up. They just need to force out Goku before he gets this barrage off.
Goku could be devastating with those barrages too. We've seen him come up, but the EMP manages to catch Chasm. Chasm alone as well. Here, we're looking for Kaiser to pop his own. He flew straight over the top, goes for it right there in the face of Yubi, but gets punched to death. Now there's exchanges back and forth. No Sombras on the table. Is trying to hold the point strong, but O1 Esports has to take this back if they want to win this map here. It is match point. That is the barrage they needed to turn the tide. Can they continue keeping this momentum and take it? Yes, they can. Took it back.
Abs is getting staggered as well. That's a late kill. He drops the lamp. He thinks this is still winnable. He's got the pocket from Cool Boy, but no DPS to speak of. Kaiser does return eventually, but no kills have returned. Apple's getting forced out once again on this wrecking ball. He's very low, has to run away from his duo partner in Chasm. And in the meantime, there's been a fight on point. Mines have been dropped by Chasm, but really not a lot of trades just yet. This is going to be good for O1 Esports up until Yubi dies.
And O1 Esports has already used up both support ultimates to keep themselves in this fight here at the end. They're going down one after another, and is looking to retake this back at 99%. They want to close it out here, and there it is. They've capped it, cleared them, and they're going to take this second map here of Busan.
Oh, wow. Goku almost went Super Saiyan there for O1 Esports. Still not enough to overcome the team diff, it feels like. And again, everything for started with shutting out the wrecking ball of Apples. Once we talked a lot about the supporting pieces for both of these teams, one of them is Wrecking Ball. You don't typically think about Ball as somebody that supports his team just because of the fact that he plays on his own pretty frequently. But once you take care of the backline threat, that allows you to funnel everything else towards bigger threats, particularly Goku on that Pharah. And even though he was getting a lot done, everybody else around him was unable to survive once those multiple angles came through for
Yeah, and we just saw a team card here for Chasm coming up with 51% kill participation. So he was in the thick of the battle, constantly making that impact and difference. And oh man, that was like you said, really great job coming through from them and creating some of that space as well.
Something that I came into this match wondering just a little bit about was Isaac on the DPS role. I'm not exactly sure what he does play, but he was listed as a sub, and coming in, didn't have that bad of a performance, was not getting exposed on that McCree, and I'm not sure exactly if that's because he's a bit of a McCree specialist. Obviously, this team, is full of individual hero specialists, but nonetheless, filling the very large shoes left by Necros and that Genji. And honestly, it seems like is kind of flexing that muscle of adaptation. It seems to be working pretty well for them, and as we go towards our next map, O1 Esports has to wonder, how do we shut out this new threat? Things have gone dark on this side of the screen, so it's just my ugly mug below. We got a good match here. Ayev versus O1 so far has proven to be pretty competitive. And maybe Waffles is back, but I can't see the camera. I'll just continue filling for time.
I guess I've dropped off.
nonetheless, both of these teams pretty evenly matched, I'd say. Wasn't really showing in some of those individual fights, but obviously Busan as a map, I don't think it just favors Farah too much. Up until downtown, which we didn't even get a chance to see in the sub-maps, O1 was kind of at a massive disadvantage by having Goku in the first place, so not the worst result in the world. I'm fully expecting this series to have a bit of a back and forth based off of map selection. Obviously, O1 Esports wants to select maps that maybe favor Farah a little bit more than others. So we have to watch very closely and look at those map selections and see where they decide to pivot towards to maybe try and counter some of the new hit scan threats coming in from Isaac. And while we try to figure out things in the back end here, we're going to throw it to a quick break. This has been a very fun experience solo casting, but I need a little breather, so don't go anywhere and we'll be right back.
Hey folks, and welcome back to Contenders Trials EU. Thanks for bearing with me a little bit. Amintus, what did we just see going on between the last match here?
Well, I understand that it might have been a little bit choppy on your end, but to get a brief recap in, Aya takes the 2-0 victory on Busan. O1 Esports comes in with Goku on that Farah, as he did previously. Nice freeze frame from my face, by the way, nonetheless. It seems like O1 Esports needs maps that really suit their playstyle to have a decent chance here, and Busan, it's just not it. When you don't get downtown in there, Pharah is very difficult to make it work. And already you can see the adaptation coming in. They're going towards Blizzard World for their next map on the hybrid game mode. And what that's going to mean is a little bit better terrain and also better sightlines for this Pharah. Everybody's going to be rotating through same directions, not a lot of other flanks outside of the very wide one on first point, but I think everybody on O1 Esports is going to be watching that very closely. And overall, I think both of these teams are very evenly matched, but it's really going to be the circumstances of the map that defines which team has an easier time.
And, we've seen really good ult economy usage come through from Aw Yeah. So I'm curious if that is going to be even more apparent coming through on Blizzard World, or, if O1 Esports' Pharah threat from that sky is going to be too much pressure for them. What do you think mindset-wise these teams are feeling going into the second map?
Well, at this point, we're halfway through Trials, right? The mentality of a lot of these teams going into the rest of the matches is just finish well. By getting a good 2-0 start here, they've essentially secured themselves very good placing going throughout the rest of Trials. And I can already tell you both of these teams, their main concern is making contenders. Even though Aw Yeah is full of a bunch of one-tricks, they still want to make it there. They're still going to try their hardest. And O1 Esports, after getting that 2-0 as well, they're feeling pretty comfortable, but they still need to prove themselves against these better and more challenging teams like Aw Yeah. So mentally speaking, they're both still very in this 100% of the way.
As both teams who have 2-0 records, this is really going to set the tone for who is a more dominant force in these EU contenders. And, I'm curious to see what type of response to the pressure as we continue through this series is going to yield. You talked a lot about, big eyes on the DPS and who's truly going to reign supreme, but it looks like they're keeping Kaiser in, so we're not going to see any of that Genji play yet.
Yeah, Aw Yeah's DPS pool, in terms of the 4 players that we've seen play so far in Trials, very deep, even though they are one-tricks in a lot of cases, particularly Necros with that Genji. They're more than capable of subbing pieces in to adapt to their current circumstance. Isaac and Kaiser are clearly well prepared for the strategy that O1 Esports is providing them with because it's consistent. It's not going to change while Yubi, while Goku are playing. Kaiser actually almost gets taken out there, but nonetheless, he's at 20% on that EMP and charging it up relatively quickly.
Good thing Goku was not being boosted by Navalera at that time. Otherwise, he would have been toast. A good hack, though, onto Kaiser, or onto Apples early from Kaiser. That's the engagement taken out of the fight for O1 right there.
I've seen feeding wrecking balls get shut down less in my games than this. Apples is having a rough time with it so far in this match. Already in the 2-0 loss in the previous map, he was getting shut out. And it's happening again. Kaiser making a deja vu, trying to look for better hacks on these tanks now. Goku almost spots him out. Gets detected in stealth by Navalera, but nobody says anything.
Okay, wasn't found, detected close enough to give Navalera a kiss right there, and then took him down just afterwards, so a little bittersweet. But I don't know, can O1 break through this defense around the statue? They haven't really been able to make any space, and Goku got picked off early, Amintus. That's going to take even more time for them to reset.
Isaac is a sharpshooter, and he's aiming down the barrel at Apples. Manages to barely slide away there. Already, though, we can see 2 minutes, 38 seconds left for O1 Esports, and only a nano boost and a Valkyrie to speak of. Aw Yeah is slowly charging up basically everything that they need to win fights consistently. The nanos and EMPs allow everybody else to come through like the waterfall and just splash all over O1 Esports. And already Chasm's making a splash again.
Kaiser got detected that time, though, this time by Apples, and it's Chasm going down first, so a little bit of a difference from what we usually see on the other side. Now O1 Esports getting aggressive. We can see Goku on this Pharah knows it's been his time. EMP gets fired and he drops down to the ground a bit. Is hacked out of it. And another exchange coming through. Can they continue to move forward and keep this aggression up? They've got 1 tick, Amintus, but they've got to keep moving forward if they want to keep Aw Yeah on their back foot.
Oh, Goku gets that barrage kill. The res comes in from Navalera as well. Late grab from I'm Special. This fight is still not over. These trades back and forth. These fights are just unending for both teams. And that's going to favor Aw Yeah. They come back and outperform with the ultimates they had accrued in the first 2 engages. And that's going to do it for this push from O1 Esports.
Wow, that was a fantastic comeback defensive hold for yeah, and well, they have charged up a little bit more on their end. I'm curious to see how they're going to handle some of the EMP and mines coming through from O1, because EMP can be a fight-winning ultimate game right there.
Yubi's at 75% though. Apples has to be the one to engage. They're playing this a little bit slower than previously. In the meantime, Kaiser and Chasm are chasing down Navalera in the sky. But now it's Chasm that's been turned on. Twice in a row now he gets hacked in the mid-fight. And now it's a 5v6 for O1.
EMP or translocator thrown over, and the EMP's launched on top of it. O1 continuing to push forward. They're taking down members of yeah, and well, looks like they're going to be able to at least cap this point a little bit, but they have to get on the point. Kaiser commits the EMP. It hits 4 out of 5 people, and they're still trying to find the picks. Navalera goes down, but it is still looking like a rough uphill batter for yeah.
O1 Esports. You better expect some long engages. That one was about 2 minutes. I don't think that was a single moment where both teams said, no, it's not winnable. They just think it's winnable the whole way through. And yeah loves that playstyle. They love taking it to you as much as possible, to the point of their own detriment. Chasm has been getting hacked out and caught in the backline consistently by Yubi now. And that's allowing Goku to walk up and make more aggressive plays, even in the face of the double hit scan from Cool Boy and Isaac. So he's trying to set up this barrage once more. They need to force out the Matrix for Mime special, maybe chip out Chasm just a bit more, but ooh, Goku's going low.
It seems like O1 Esports is getting a bit of a download onto yeah. They have been taking out Chasm early, like Apples was getting taken out early. So kind of a book from there, or a page from their book as well. I'm curious to see, can they continue moving forward? Look at that momentum and mobility coming through from Goku up top. He does manage to stay alive just by the skin of his teeth, and O1 Esports are getting the rewards they want from this aggression, picking off yeah one after another.
Goku manages to catapult over that pylon in the middle of the map. None of the hit scan threats from yeah manages to shut out either the Mercy or the Pharah, and he just layers in that barrage on the most vulnerable member in yeah's composition. That's the Baptiste. Even with that lamp, once it's gone, you are a sitting duck, and O1 Esports recognize that, capitalize, and now they have the EMP from Yubi to go again.
Pushing into an EMP as well. That is nasty. There it is, picking up 2 people from it. The capitalization is there from the Diva on top of it, and they are looking confident going into the streets phase here. Oh, I spoke too soon. They lost their pharmacy combo, so O1 is going to have to really turn the tide of this fight for themselves. Tries to get the kill onto her, does manage before the remake can be done, and well, now they're continuing to move this payload right along.
Respawn advantages? Don't care. O1 Esports, they're trying just like yeah did on the first objective to push this through. Kaiser's got something to say about it. He drops that EMP. Yubi hacked, caught out by Chasm. That's a trade kill, but there is a defender's respawn advantage. Bomb comes in from Imo.
O1 wants to commit to this fight here. The kill from the self-destruct on a Cool Boy is going to pretty much seal this deal for them, as yeah didn't have any of that sustainability, and we're able to burn a little bit more time down. Ooh, nice stall at the end, but still gonna be able to push it to the next checkpoint.
Not nearly as much of a struggle in first as well. I think the moment that Apples stops getting shut out on this wrecking ball, everybody on O1 Esports feels a lot better. And there's a couple late stagger kills coming through. Cool Boy gets a little bit of assistance from his team, but left out to dry in the end. This is going to mean more free cart progress up until both teams just decide, no, this is the time to fight. I don't care that the cart's 5 miles behind us. Let's just take this. End result, though, is that O1 Esports going to continue to move this forward.
And they didn't care. They lost a couple supports in the process. Cool Boy and Navalera went down in that fight, and, well, they just kept duking it out. I like the aggression, and, well, they do not want to give up any inch of space coming through. That pile drive engagement coming out is going to open up yeah, and the nano's thrown onto him as well. This is nasty, though. Goku is boosted, and he's taken down. The high noon clips him out from the sky, and that is O1 feeling rough after that. Can they turn this fight? A hack onto Isaac is good, and a couple of them have been anti, but gonna have to give some of that space and just regroup a bit here.
They do have to regroup. Late kill onto Imo 97, and Apples just gives up. Just sits there and takes it like a Hammond, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how to describe that, but just basically watches as his team falls apart. And The EMP is going to come in from Yubi again. We've got the barrage from Goku as well. And this was the tool that unlocked them in the past. And now the counter has to come through from and that is a pause. Okay, interesting strategy here. Just press Control P, I guess.
Yeah, not sure why the pause came through. We'll get to that probably eventually. But, so far, O1 Esports has been pushing this card along. It's been stalled out around the third point. Not that surprising. It is hard to push it to the third checkpoint in Blizzard World for sure. That spawn advantage is massive for the defenders.
Looks like we actually did figure out the reason for the pause. One of the players' monitors just decided to turn off in the middle of the match. So hopefully he can find the power button. Maybe the cord got unplugged. Overall, though,
or the cat.
I would say the cat decided to take a swipe at the keyboard or the cable. That's happened to me a lot of the times. I'll type out some gibberish from my kitten. Love that cat.
The nudge up into the power button. That looks like it'll scratch my cheek. Well, off.
Cats are evil creatures sometimes. Nonetheless, though, I'm not exactly sure why Abs had to dip out, but we're going to get right back into it here. Unpause coming through, and this engage is about to unleash.
And we see so far, Chasm has already ground pounded in there with the bubble for himself. And I'm Special has been helping out his friend left and right on that. The EMP is found and Yubi goes down after the EMP is launched. It looks like there was not as much coordination on that as we had seen in the past from them.
And there's only 1 second left. Goku feels desperate, has to make a play, and it ends up working. Barrage kills I'm Special.
Oh my
so
gosh.
No Zarya charge, no bubbles for the rest of the team. Isaac is caught at a no man's land, and Apple's trying to push, but they get the trade kill.
Isaac trying to be a hero here in the back line. He gets antsied and has been harassed from a long distance, but Goku wants to make his own hero plays. We saw it happen earlier. He's been nano boosted and is trying to find the value. The pharmacy's caught in the grab. They can't escape at all. Navalera tries to keep everyone topped off, but the minefield coming through from Chasm's going to zone everyone off, and that is going to be an end for that first round.
Isaac McCree, man. This character is somebody that if you forget about them, they will make you remember. These high noons have been destroying the Pharah Mercy, and not even when they're missing, right? Like, they can hit and get the insta-kill or buy enough time for everybody else on to roll right back onto the objective. And that's exactly what happens in that overtime. Just buys so much time and space with that high noon. Even though it doesn't find anybody, it allows Kaiser to come back with that EMP. And this scrappy fighting playstyle coming in from I think O1 Esports doesn't have enough gas in the tank sometimes. Half the time, they get the nano down onto Goku and are able to trade out. But the other half, when those rockets are not landing, it's just not enough.
Well, it's really tough when you are running a composition based around DPS and this individual skill and performance as well. That's a lot of pressure on their shoulders and a lot of almost waiting for them to create those opportunities. And if they're not being created quickly or recognized quickly, there's not always the room for capitalization or maybe even opportunity to engage. That is so much pressure. And I mean, I wonder how they mentally handle that as a player as well.
It's got to be a lot, but that is the mindset that you need to have. You need to be ready for what the enemy team throws at you and confident in your own strategy. And I think is kind of exuding confidence at this point. Getting that full hold, burning a lot of time on first point. I think they have a good strategy down for this attack. They're basically mirroring the exact same composition with a very difficult to remove backline from a distance. So the Ana and the Baptiste are not really that diveable from this point. Goku has to be on point with these rockets.
Being on point with the projectiles is such a difficult skill. You got to anticipate where your target's going to move, and the farther he is, the harder it's going to be. Slams come down at the same time in sync, but one with a bubble and one without. That's going to be some charge coming through for I'm Special, making him even more deadly as is going to aggress on the point. The charge up is going to keep them alive a bit. Self-bubble there, and Apples goes down first once again. The CC from Isaac is too much. And well, rolling up and have already capped the first point.
This adaptation from Oh Yeah and playstyle is fascinating to watch. But this fight is not over yet. Isaac trying to remove the last couple of members of O1 Esports. The kill onto Goku means Navalera has nowhere to escape, and Oh Yeah just have to chase down the remaining staggered members. Another hack onto Apples.
Man, the poor guy has been constantly harassed by the Sombra, CC'd by Isaac, and he's having a hard time playing the game today.
Absolutely. At this point, I would consider swapping. I mean, even in the face of, this is a meta composition, you're supposed to play these heroes. When you see Apples getting chain hacked at this point by Kaiser, you really need to figure out something else. Because obviously this is not working. An adaptation needs to come through at some point from O1 Esports if they want to have a chance in this series, because the faster that this spirals out of control, the less time you have to work with. We're already at 1-0, and if Oh Yeah wins the second map of this series, their backs are against the wall.
And the point has been moving very, very consistently along. It stalled out a bit just for a moment, but they are getting that space. Minefield is going to be dropped from Apples, and it's EMP'd right afterwards. Goku goes ahead, gets that kill onto the Baptiste, taking down some of the hardiness of their support line. He goes down to Isaac, of course. Isaac has got his number, and well, he's got Goku's on top of it. Navalera follows suit. Man, this guy is an absolute monster coming through with just his normal abilities and use of fundamentals.
Exactly. I think his default playstyle on McCree is just too much to overcome. One, caught out once again, gets the pocket coming in from Navalera, but again, these fights are just never ending, it feels like. Both teams refusing to give up even down a couple of members.
And O1 Esports has not really had a chance to catch their breath and regroup since this first point. They've been constantly pushed back one after another, and this fight is so scrappy back. Able to go ahead and take the second checkpoint, but there is 4:55 on the clock and a lot of time to burn.
Kaiser's got ice in his veins, man. At 44 HP, I would not feel comfortable taking that duel. Chooses to do it anyways, and in the meantime, Oh Yeah manages to capture that objective with 4 minutes and 40 seconds, slowly rolling this cart forward. And again, it's not even a full capture. You really only have to get 2 fight wins back to back, and that's very easy to do when you have the EMP from Sombra. 80% on Kaiser once again. He's stealthing, trying to find a way into the backline and farm it up. And in the meantime, O1 Esports have to figure out a good response.
Yubi's gone ahead and switched over to that Ashe as well, so going to be able to provide a different type of damage on to the back or from the back line at a longer range. Maybe put some pressure on to Isaac. This is typically easier for an Ashe against a McCree, but I say typically for a reason. Oh no, she almost got mowed down there, but in the end, it's actually going to be Goku taking down Coolboy to open up. We're not surprised. Oh Yeah hasn't given up. They do not like to run away easily, and they are still aggressing forward, Amintus.
They're getting kind of punished for it, though. Problem is, you lost your diva. Nobody gets into the objective anymore. Navalera has to pop the Valkyrie, but that leaves the other 2 squishies for the perfect positioning on that Graviton Surge. They managed to get 1. They get a second onto Apples. There's nobody left to stand.
And that's going to be an EMP to close them out. Didn't catch too much coming through as, well, most people were dead, and Oh Yeah coming through with another victory.
Not even breaking a sweat. And again, on the enemy team's map choice. This is something we really honed in on previously, but even when Oh Yeah is in basically dominant fashion and they don't know what they're playing, they leave in everybody on the team, no substitutions required, and they're still dominating. Back-to-back fights, it feels like. And Isaac on this McCree has been the difference maker. And we came into this match kind of expecting to see more Genji coming through from Necros, but obviously, they had to adapt to the circumstances. They know that O1 Esports, when Goku's playing, they're going to be playing Pharah. And that's why they left Isaac in. So going into the next map, are we going to see an adaptation from O1 Esports once more? We've seen previously that they are capable of subbing Goku out, having another hit scan player come in, or maybe just some kind of mix-up compositionally speaking. But so far, the way things are going, Oh Yeah is going to continue to dominate until O1 Esports changes.
And they're going, you're right, they are going to continue to dominate unless O1 does something to change up their attack. And, the comment you said in the middle of the match where Kaiser is chain hacking Apples. man, that hit me, and I felt so bad for him because being chain hacked, typically that's not something you see done to, so much of the ball camping as you see a support running back or, just getting strung out. Supports get strung out.
Yeah.
But he was so impactful in that fight, and, it felt like eventually both Hammonds were kind of struggling a bit to always find the engagement and value they're looking for.
Yeah, I really do love that adaptation from Kaiser. He recognizes that, hey, these guys, they're going to try to go for a backline, and I need to start playing these fights front to back to shut out the dive as it rolls through. And a lot of these times, Apples feels like there's a good engage, and that's why they're trying to go for it. And then all of a sudden, Kaiser just pops out of stealth and is like, hey, forgot about me, hacks him, and he's dead. Then it's a 5v6, the rest of Oh Yeah rolls through, and that's why you get these performances consistently out of these new players, particularly Isaac. It's a very easy win. You don't really have to worry about a lot else. And hopefully for the rest of this series, O1 Esports gets something under their belt, because so far nothing has landed.
Yeah, and they are pushing into a tough lineup of Yeah. We mentioned how they did have a lot of specialists on their team, and they're very comfortable in the characters that they select regularly. We haven't seen that Necros Genji yet, but of course the DPS have been doing absolutely phenomenal so far. Folks, we're going to go to a quick break, but we'll have to see if O1 Esports can bring it back, potentially for that reverse sweep, or if Oh Yeah is going to maintain that pristine record and not lose a map. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Contenders Trials EU. So far we have been watching O1 Esports go up against Oh Yeah, and has continued to maintain their perfect record of not dropping a map yet. We are at 2-0 in our first to 3 Amentus, and O1 Esports is going to need to dig deep if they want to come back and take this to
I fully expect them to be capable of doing it. We've seen them have a bit of a back-and-forth series previously. Their last win was a 3-2 over Mind Goblin, I believe it was. And at certain points in that series, we saw Quartz, the sub-DPS for O1 Esports, getting swapped in to play that hit scan role. And I think that extra additional layer of options for O1 Esports was what gave them the advantage in that series, because obviously not every map is going to be the best for Pharah. Goku,
right.
You're a very good player, and you're getting all the resources in the world, and it's still not enough. There's just something going wrong in the chain of command that is preventing Goku from doing what he normally does, which is remove backlines. He really has been taking it to the supports, to the DPS consistently in his previous matches, and all of a sudden he's struggling with doing that, and I think it's coming from maybe things outside of his control. A lot of the times it's coming in with hacks on these vulnerable tanks, particularly Apples on that Wrecking Ball. Oof. And you could be the best Pharah player in the world. You're not going to win every 5v6.
Yeah, and there's no chance that even you could be the best one trick of anything in the world, and winning a 5v6 really is not going to be in your wheelhouse. And you're right, Apples has been just constantly berated by the Sombra being hacked and not allowed to really make those engagements. And I feel like Chasm is doing a good job offensively on that ball and really forcing O1 to be reactive every single time to those ball engagements, instead of trying to set the tone or the pace for themselves and the pace that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, and something else that we should note as to why that might be happening, take a look at the tanks from some two players that we haven't really been highlighting throughout the course of this series so far. Chasm and I'm Special have been wreaking havoc on the front lines for So not only is Kaiser shutting out Apples consistently, Chasm and I'm Special are remaining a consistent threat throughout the duration of a lot of these fights. And I actually believe that we're waiting on a couple of members coming through for O1 Esports, but both teams have marked themselves as R. We'll be loading into our next map a little bit soon. But we're going to have to figure that out in a moment, as just having a couple of delays in the back end. But nonetheless, I think O1 Esports definitely is going to come into this next map with some new ideas, some new compositions, maybe some swaps coming in the DPS role. I would really love to see Quartz come in to play that hit scan to maybe have a bit of an easier time shutting out Isaac on that McCree, who has been dominating so far.
Yeah, well, and we've seen Isaac really just perform well with the primary fire of Peacekeeper. And that is so devastating, right? You can hack him and it doesn't matter. He's still going to be able to output those damage because he hits those shots. I saw in a previous game, I think it was when they were against Mind Goblin, that he actually opted to use High Noon for the reload instead of the full, channeling energy type of shot. And I'm never good enough to need to do that. But that is something that you see when, they know the output of damage they can give is much higher and faster than the ultimate. And using that as a reload, to me, definitely showcases how many hours he's put in the game and how good his judgment is when, you need to use that versus you just need to fire more shots and put that front damage in. We're going to be moving into Volskya, so do you think we're going to see more McCree from Isaac, or maybe a little bit longer range character?
I honestly, we might see something that isn't even McCree here. Maybe even like a Soldier 76. I think a character like that has a bit of an easier time of things on the first points. It looks like Aya is going to be opting for defense on Volskya, and Goku's still in the starting 6 here for O1 Esports, so that's more Pharah, more rockets, more barrages coming through for them on the attacking side. But previously, again, we've talked about how the Pharah is not really the problem here. It's everybody else around the Pharah that's struggling. And when I think about adaptations that you can make in that department, there's nothing else that suits Pharah in the game besides Ball Diva, in my opinion. If you go towards something like Double Shield on attack here, you're going to leave your Pharah out to dry. You can't follow up on a lot of that damage.
Right.
Ball Diva is the necessary choice, So by leaving Goku in, O1 Esports has locked into this strategy.
You're right, and they know Goku's comfort pick is going to be that Pharah. But Mike, I guess with knowing with knowing the other comp the team's gonna play, I want to see that impact coming through from O1 to really leverage a bit of different tactics. I know it's going to be the same comp, but well, maybe not. This is attacking. They have plenty of time to change that, but I'm not even going to box myself in on there.
Looks like Quartz has been subbed in as well, playing the exact same role, still going to be on Tracer for O1 Esports, and assuming Goku does decide to lock in Echo, I like this option a lot more. Never mind. Gonna play Pharah instead anyways, but again, you can see on the side of no changes hero-wise. We're still playing Zarya, still got the McCree Sombra, still got that Anabaptiste. Very difficult to dislodge with that poke damage coming through. And really the problem has been following up, it feels like. Goku is putting on. He's doing a lot of damage, but now it's on O1 Esports to come and help him out.
And O1 Esports is running that mobile and fast comp that you were talking about to be able to capitalize and help Goku out. They rely very heavily on that element of their teamwork in covering each other. Good defense matrix to cover Navalera there, and Apples pays the price with his life. He's the first one to go down once again, and that's the engagement off the table for O1 and back to spawn.
O1 Esports decides, okay, well, let's not try to assist the dive. Let's just make it really hard for them to dive us. One goes over to that Lucio. That's an additional environmental pushback on the dive coming in from Chasm and I'm Special. But the problem is that leaves Quartz and Apples out to dry even more so than they were previously. No Zenyatta, no Brigitte, no Ana, no long-range healing for those flankers, and they're struggling already.
And we see O1 here continuing to take this front push over the top with Goku berating them from above. An hack comes through, but and there's the pick on top of it. Just looking very comfortable at handling any aggression coming through from O1 Esports.
If you saw what happened in that fight, I'm Special got hit with quite literally everything that O1 had in their back pocket. Still wasn't enough to kill him. The lamp comes out at the perfect time from Abs, late bubble from I'm Special as well. Even when everything lands for O1 on a vulnerable target, he survives. What more can you do on the side of O1 Esports? There's just no adaptations left besides going for a full comp swap. And I mean, look, Isaac's got this high noon online again. Goku and Navalera gonna really feel the hurt on this one.
Chasm fell a little low, but he's got all the resources he needs to top himself off. Hammond Special is rolling away in time.
Okay.
Quartz just dominated right there, taking out Isaac and Abs in the process. That's 2 down and more to follow. O1 Esports getting the traction they need. Grab has been thrown as a late commitment from trying desperately to save this fight for themselves, but I don't think that was gonna be it.
Quartz making his name known in the kill feed. Gets subbed in, gets 2 headshot kills back to back, taking out that high noon in particular from Isaac opens it up for Goku to stay alive in that engagement, particularly Navalera as well, so that they have the skull ticked up completely there. Chasm going for a little bit of Wrecking Ball fun time, rolling around, building some old charge. Overall though, O1 Esports has the advantage. Kaiser has to basically catch everybody with this EMP to win.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure onto Kaiser. Apples almost goes down to some CC. That's not enough coming through for the EMP as O1 continues to aggress forward. They have ults online for days. Both support ultimates have been committed, and Bob is thrown into the thick of the battle on top of it. Goku's barrage manages to find Kaiser, and now he's just continuing to hunt with his damage boost, taking out more and more of, they have to handle all the trickling coming through Amintus as the supports are taken out one after another soon. Finally, the point is capped for O1 Esports, and that was a very strong offensive performance from them.
Absolutely. This is the complete reversal of what we've just seen in the past 2 maps. O1 Esports subs in Quartz. They take that pause time to refine their strategy, come back into that first point push, and really, that double headshot coming in from Quartz on Ashe just totally changed the entire course of this series. Now, O1 Esports has a serious chance at going the distance in this best of 5 because now they have a hefty time bank coming in from that attack. And even if this defense doesn't go perfectly for them, all they have to do is stall till overtime on second, and they've bought themselves at the very least a tie, and likely a map win here. This is basically O1 Esports is to lose. And now I think it really is about if Aw Yeah can disrupt a lot of what O1 has been doing so far. And that comes from the Ashe. That's just the only way to put it right now. Goku consistently dealing damage, but now Quartz is layering it in as well, surviving in these engages. Aw Yeah has to change their strategy once more.
I am concerned for O1 once Aw Yeah has all of their ultimates online, though. I think their use of them has been very, very well-timed and extremely detrimental for O1, especially when you get those EMPs that were hitting, you know, a substantial amount of targets. Couldn't quite make the hero play needed at the end, but man, they were stacked against a lot of ults.
And I hate to say I'm Nostradamus here, but yeah, Isaac on that Soldier 76 going to be popping those tack visors, having a little bit of an easier time at range with Quartz as well. No fall-off damage on that rocket is a big threat to a long-range sniper. But already O1 Esports have been given a lot of space here. It seems like Aw Yeah wants to take this a little bit slower at the beginning, get some charge on their Zarya and set up the Sombra. These are get spotted out early though, so forced out, not going to be building up EMP quickly enough. Isaac also taking off that bridge, but now Chasm with the dive coming through.
Yeah, and he's just rolling through everyone, disrupting them left and right. I did see that Kaiser managed to hack that small health pack underneath, and could be tough, but there's already a pick on Abs. An exchange actually back and forth as Chasm goes ahead and crushes Quartz with his slam. This health pack stolen right out from under him, but so far, Aw Yeah has 2 ticks. You gotta get on the point and stop it if you're going to O1, because now is the time. One a little bit more coming through, but that Ant Matrix on the top is going to be quite a threat from O1 as they shoot down below, and looks like they are stabilizing now.
One was the hero there, drops the lamp, gets the window out to give O1 Esports a second chance at life.
What?
But that chance at life has been quickly removed from this recontest. The attackers have such a massive spawn advantage, and Goku, without that mercy, needs to get pocket from a Baptiste. Not a good look.
Oh, and that is a hard shot to hit for as a Bap. The visor is just ripping through everyone right here. His ultimates are popped left and right, and you know, Aw Yeah, once again, having some very strong impact from this ultimate.
Tried to dodge the headshot there, but not gonna happen. Quartz is ready and waiting for you to stop moving around. Lands 2 back-to-back. I'd say that is a bit of a deterrent in this next push, but nonetheless, Aw Yeah coming back in, redoubled with this EMP from Kaiser. Previously, only caught 1 on their attack, but now with Apples going over to the Orisa, that's a bit more static, teams are going to be a little bit more stacked up behind that shield. So he's got a good one lined up.
Oh man, EMP is going to catch 4 people on top of it, but now Valera dodges it, already has the valve popped. Barrage comes through from Goku, shut down by Isaac. Does manage to find that kill on to Abs and is brought back into this fight just as quickly. He's gonna have to make some hero plays of his own because Aw Yeah are getting the kills in their favor. Isaac gets shot in the back, but there's still gotta be more in the tank for Goku if he's gonna turn this 4-0-1. He does manage to find I'm Special, but the point's being capped. You gotta contest. It's slowly, almost going down. There's Pharmacy removed Amintus, and can they even contest it after this Ant Matrix is popped?
One trying his hardest, gets the kill onto Abs. That was the Lucia that shut out your Pharah Mercy previously, and now he's using it to laser down Chasm, soloing out that Wrecking Ball. 600 HP gone in an instant. O1 Esports still managing to hold, but they gave up 2 ticks to do it.
Wow, that was a close one at the end there. I wasn't sure, and I was definitely stressed out for one at the end. Facing off against the Hammond and dancing through your Ant Matrix definitely looked like he was keeping his cool for the most part.
Goku pivoting over to Echo now, so this is something that I really like to see because this will allow you to trade a lot more effectively and stall as well. You only really have 1 tick remaining, and Pharah previously has a lot of damage, but compared to the copy of Echo, not as good in these overtime scenarios. But Goku needs to build it up quickly. Again, Kaiser's got this EMP online. In the past, it wasn't really getting a lot of results, but he needs to find them all grouped up on this left side.
Oh, Quartz is picked early. That could be awful for O1 Esports. They lost a lot of that peppering and side damage that's going to distract. Focus Beam is too much for Chasm though, and I mean, with Goku on the Echo, it's going to give him a lot of opportunity to really support his team more. Apples is getting just rallied in the back by the supports there. Isaac goes ahead and rips apart the front line. Oh yeah, Caps with a clean, flat 2 minutes left in the time bank.
Well, yeah, Echo's good at song with copy, but not when you're 43% of the way there. Late swap comes through, not able to build that ultimate in time, and the pick onto Quartz was the deciding factor there for yeah, because once that Tracer is gone, now the Ana and the Zenyatta from Cool Boy and Abs can essentially walk through and do whatever they please. They take those high grounds, they basically sit in main, and then they can actually just solo out Apples without even needing hacks, right?
Yeah.
So great push coming through from yeah, making those adaptations, particularly in the back line, and leads to a second point capture. But again, their time bank is pretty minuscule compared to the 248 of 01, so they're really only going to get a couple tries to go the distance once more.
And during that last engagement, you know, Quartz went down early when he was on that Tracer, so I'm sure Apples was missing some of his friends peppering, distracting damage from a different angle when he got taken down by those supports. And, well, it shows you how important every member of the team is in creating those win opportunities and conditions for themselves. Little bit more time for 01, so that might give them maybe one extra push, two if they're fast.
I don't know how fast they can be, though, because with this Orisa coming through from Apples, they can stall out the objective for a very long time. That Fortify, plus the lamp coming in from one on the Baptiste, pretty much immovable for a good 10 seconds if you layer it properly. So already you can see yeah, attacking at the periphery. They're going after these side players, particularly Imo on this D.Va and Goku on Echo.
Like the protection coming through for Navalera as well. Chasm is the first person to go down. These Hammonds are just getting shredded left and right. They can't quite pinball away the way they need to create and, well, stay alive. Right now, oh, man, Goku's focus beam is just shredding people again.
When you're caught out alone like that against an Echo with a Mercy Pocket, good luck. That's all I'm going to say. Kaiser even getting caught out as well, and Chasm once more can't even reach the health pack. Oof. These flanking players coming through on yeah are now effectively being dealt with well before they reach their targets, and that means they're also getting less ult charge and essentially just feeding it over to 01 Esports. So not only is this first point going to be a very decent ult for them, they're setting themselves up great for second with these ults.
It's really tough for these Hammonds as they've been going down first very consistently, and 01 is just, it seems like their ability to react and move for this Volskya map is much better than what we saw previously as they're responding to the threats. And look at this, Chasm already being forced out once again, has to actually go up main with the Zarya bubble and juke for the health pack. Thankfully, he's able to make it out, but once again, still engaging here on the back. That's just the success they needed, though. One didn't have enough support, and he does go down. Oh, yeah, continuing to get the kills they need, and oh, this attack visor is absolutely shredding them. I mean, no one in the air is living.
Not for long, at least. That distraction from Chasm was very clutch there, managing to roll through the stack on the top right side and stay alive. That pushes Quartz off the high ground temporarily, and then splits that stack where they're no longer supporting one another. And in that individual fight, everybody on yeah has the advantage, and they leverage it. But now they only have 15 or so seconds to set up a push here, and no real defensive tools to speak of till Abs gets this Transcendence online.
This is where they need to make or break it, because if yeah gets this cap, 01 is going to have a tough time aggressing forward for the next round. EMP goes ahead, clips one. Apples is taken, or is hacked on top of it. OC bar trickles down, almost taken out, but now 01 Esports continuing to hold strong. That Bob is reinforcing everyone. Goku falls asleep, but he's got the duplicate online ready. Navalera's even getting aggressive, gets the successful res to close it off, and a great defense and a very, very attainable win condition for 01.
Absolutely. You did give up a tick, though, so not perfect. And, you know, everybody on yeah is saying, There is a chance. There's absolutely a chance here because you can full hold on second without giving up ticks. That's not out of the question.
That's true. Yeah.
I think the bigger thing we need to focus on right now, though, is Apple's making this swap to Orisa. Taking him off of Wrecking Ball and pivoting everybody else on O1 Esports towards a more static style is really helping them in this matchup. And everybody on is still playing a lot of the same heroes and not changing to these circumstances here. Kaiser on Sombra is not having nearly the same amount of impact. And if Apples decides to play this ball once again, I think he will find impact, similar to how he did in the previous maps. I would love for Apples to maintain that Orisa and have a little bit more static strength, tag teaming with the flanks coming in from Quartz and Goku. Nonetheless, looks like he's going to settle on ball in this attack.
Yeah, and I like I think O1 did a good job at just really utilizing their movement to capitalize on those flankers that were coming through from Chasm got punished really regularly, and it was not from just one person on O1, it was from 3 of them from O1 and fast.
They pounced like a pack of wild dogs on a poor hamster. And I think I know who wins that one typically. Chasm struggles a lot more when there's multiple targets on him, but now on this defense, he's basically left to run wild and free. He can slam with these bubbles from I'm Special, target the supports, the DPS that get naded down like Quartz here. He's very low but manages to live.
Man, he is just bulldozing everyone around and bopping them left and right. It is still O1 Esports coming up in the kill feed, though, as they've gotten a pick, but Navalera has been taken down. A lot of healing and sustainability for them to try and really push this fight out. Does not ever give up a fight quick, and neither does O1, so we still got some time.
I'm Special is charged up, though, and he's got both supports supporting him from that right side Mega. Very difficult to dislodge, and in the meantime, Isaac has sprinted back to return to his team. It's been about 30 seconds on this first point, but already O1 Esports feels the need to go first. They dropped this window.
And they're trying to keep the damage strong from Quartz. He needs to find those picks. He falls to 20. It's the Immortality Field keeping him alive, and a fade of big came through. Abs just slaughtered them all right there.
Okay. Bloodthirsty supports. Shout out to Doa. Ab's just gonna execute the final member, get that elimination for himself. That's 3 in that team fight. You don't see the Baptiste popping off like that usually, but that's exactly what wants. The hit scan pressure on these aerial heroes. Navalera is only at 50% on this Mercy ult charge because they have been getting forced out so consistently by the Soldier, by the Ana, by the Baptiste, and in the meantime, Kaiser has been just destroying them from behind and building up this EMP so quickly. Now with only a minute remaining and all of these ults for this fight could be over very quickly.
I'm gonna put my translocator there too next time. EMP, boom, finds 4 people, and 2 of them already go down with Quartz's Bob online on top of it. Amintus, that's back to spawn for sure.
This has burnt enough time on the first objective of Volskya, where now we're really in a scenario where it feels like has a winnable fight here. They can actually win this map and go 3-0 in the series. But the problem is O1 Esports this entire time has not pressed Q. They have charged up all 6 ultimates, and they are ready to unleash them to have a chance at winning this. That first tick that they secured on second might come in handy.
It is Ult City here for O1, and it is the last engagement coming up. They've got to leave it all on the field if they want to come back and win this set. Isaac already with a 3K on the visor. He's just shutting out any hope or possibility for O1 to take this point. They die with ultimates online, and now all they can do is desperately try to touch to trigger this OT bar. Goku tried to do his best with Immo on the top, diving in at the last moment, but it is rough for O1 as looking very strong once again, Amintus, and looks like they are continuing to maintain that pristine record and not drop a map.
9-0 from a team full of one tricks. This Trials is looking to be a wash for after a dominant victory over another 2-0 team in the Trials group. I mean, that was just clutch coming in at the end there from Isaac, and this is a player we have yet to really see on stream. He's making a big impact when all eyes are on him. All
right, let's take a look at this beautiful ultimate he's got going on. There it is.
You don't really have to aim with the tac visor. You just put yourself in the right spot and the enemies come to you. That's
right.
exactly what happens in overtime there for Isaac. And the rest of they are more than happy with a victory like that, keeping that pristine map score alive, 9-0 like we talked about. And something I want to point attention to is that there were moments where O1 Esports found some footing, and they were able to make the adaptations necessary, but they were almost always so short-lived in the individual performances compared to at some point, somebody stepped up on the side of and said, hey, no more. We're going to just destroy you in this team fight, and all the momentum just evaporates for O1 Esports. And in a competitive best-of-5 series, when every single time you feel like you have a lead, it goes to nothing, hard to stay in it till the end.
Yeah, and mentally also very difficult to combat and get back into the rhythm and reset yourself for the next match coming up. I think that Kaiser did a great job at pretty much dialing in how to shut down the Hammond and getting those EMPs and harassing the backline up the wazoo. Man, I felt bad. And I mean, I still can't get the word chain hack out of my head because that is, man, ouch. I don't want to experience that anymore. And I hope none of you ever have to as well. Looks like we are going to get Abs, the support from coming in to interview with us here in a moment, folks. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to Contenders Trials EU. We have with us Abs from our victorious team, Aw Yeah, previously. Abs, congratulations on, well, pretty much all of your wins uncontested. How are you feeling going into this Trials after all that?
Feeling pretty good. We've basically got into Contenders now. That was our goal. I think trying not to drop a map is probably our next goal.
Nice. Yeah. So tell me, how did you get involved in being part of this team, and what actually inspired you to want to aim for such a high level of play like Contenders?
I made friends with Avoided, I don't know, about maybe 6 months ago. I was talking with all the team. They're really nice and friendly. There was a team rework and they asked me, "Are you a good player? Do you want to play for us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "We don't scrim." I was like, "Oh, that's sick. I don't really, I don't want to scrim myself. I've got stuff to do, like IRL." And just went from there. And we're just a friend team having fun, to be honest.
Nice. And what is it like being on a team that's so relaxed like that? What type of stress and pressure or lack of do you guys feel or facilitate in your own team culture?
There really isn't much stress. For example, I did an int window on Volskya first point. I went to window top right and it glitched, so window bottom left. Nobody said anything whatsoever. If special would miss a grab or ball rolls off the map. You watch a ball play Reinhardt for the first 2 minutes for no reason. We're very chill. We don't mind inting. We don't say anything to each other. We just play our own game. It's nice.
I think it's really apparent that you guys have good synergy and communication. You all look really comfortable when you're playing, and it doesn't seem like you have much panic from anyone really aggressing forward. What are the comms like for you guys?
Usually ball silent. Special just asks for resources. I think me and Hampe are probably the one that's talking the most. That's about it.
Well, thank you for that insight. Amintus, what do you want to ask about?
A couple of questions. So to start things out, I've noticed that pretty much everybody on Aw Yeah has their niche outside of the supports. You and Hampe seem to be that flexible glue that can adapt to any circumstance. And one of those adaptations you made was Ana Baptiste. What made you choose those two heroes in particular against O1?
So the standout part of O1's comp is the pharmacy. So any comp that would be any support line, so Brig Ana, for example, the Brig would try and protect the Ana. It wouldn't be enough to go against a Pharah, because if the Pharah just jumps on the supports, then they're just going to die. So if we pick both Hitscan, Bap and Ana, we both get to heal each other. We both have a chance to one-shot the Pharah together. And I have Lamp and he has Nade. We have collectively enough heal to keep ourselves alive while trying to kill the Pharah. So
it's a very apt description, I'd say. Best to hear it from a player rather than some color caster who knows nothing of what he's talking about.
Whatever.
Next question I'll get to is going into a team like Aw Yeah, as compared to your time on SMC. You're obviously on loan still, at least according to Wikipedia. It's a different environment. It's a different type of team. Is it better or is it worse? Do you feel like there's any real difference?
on SMC, I wasn't really an active player. I was more of a substitute in case something happened with Sab or Kumba, Johnny. But on Aw Yeah, it's more of a. I'm more of an integral part because we've already got 2 support players.
Right.
So yeah, that's really it.
Well, it's nice to feel needed, I'll say.
Yeah.
Last question
mostly it's because I don't scrim.
Is there anybody that you would like to shout out before we send it over to our next match? Anybody at home?
I actually don't really. Sorry for the crap answer. No, I don't.
That's okay.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and once again, congratulations on your win, Abs. You are absolutely an instrumental part to this Aw Yeah lineup, and it has been shown very well that you guys are a dominating force so far in these trials. Best of luck to you coming up in your next games, and I hope you still, can stay relaxed and have fun with everyone like you have been.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, hopefully we will.
Thanks. Oh, all right, folks. So that was our first match so far today, closed out with O1 Esports versus Aw Yeah. Amintus, Aw Yeah, once again maintaining that pristine record, not dropping a map, but got some more coming up for you in just a moment. Got Rebrand in progress versus Sheer Cold. So, we'll have to see if they can bring some more heat to our games or if anyone's going to be dominating like we just saw. Amintus, any thoughts before we pop over to break?
Sheer Cold is trying to put him on ice once again. Right now, Rebrand in progress is sitting at 0-2, Sheer Cold at 2-0. So far, it feels like Sheer Cold has not had their hand forced, only dropping a map so far. And Rebrand in progress has been struggling slightly to get to this point. So this needs to be a rebound game for our IP if they want to make contenders. But we're only going to be able to see how that goes when it's live on your screen. So we're going to a quick break. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back.
Hey folks, welcome back to Contenders Trials EU. we are about to see our next matchup of Rebrand in Progress, or RIP, versus Sheer Cold. Mintus, we know a little bit about these teams, and, they've been around. Sheer Cold in particular has been around for a minute, and, well, they are a 2-0 record. What do you think we're going to see coming up?
Honestly, I feel bad for Rebrand in Progress. You're facing a team that quite literally has the most experience out of any Contenders team with winning trials. This is a team that has consistently straddled that line between 5th, 6th place and breaking into the top 4 to secure a second Contender spot. And at this point, they've gone down to trials and back up by getting first 4 or 5 times now. This is basically just what they do for fun, it seems like. They love to just drop out of Contenders and then just win trials just because they feel like it. And already with a dominant 2-0 start, only dropping a map so far, and against a Rebrand in Progress that has been struggling to get to this point, I mean, looking a little dicey for RIP.
Yeah, and it is tough going up against a team that is so experienced and well-seasoned. It means they can handle the pressure, and, well, Rebrand might be struggling a bit with how they want to communicate around, and handling nerves is definitely a big part of being in this competitive scene. And if you want to be successful higher up in the even more T2, T1 scene, you talk about how Sheer Cold kind of teeters on that line, and, sometimes breaking through the cusp and just punching through that very last barrier is, almost harder than when you've actually made it through and you've got the momentum to build on. So I am going to be looking to see if Sheer Cold can really set themselves apart from how they've been performing in the past and, well, prove their Contenders Trials spot is pretty much no contest, that they deserve to be there.
Exactly. At this point, I think everybody has got it in the back of their minds that Sheer Cold is going to be a mainstay in Contenders, regardless of whether they drop the trials or not. Whereas RIP, aka used to be old and bored, has basically been stuck in trials and immediately falling out of Contenders for this entire time. As we go towards our first map of Busan, I'm fully expecting Sheer Cold to have an advantage here, just because of the fact that in the past, Rebrand in Progress has really only shown prowess on 2 types of comps: 6-man dive and brawl. These are 2 team comps that love to play stacked together and rotate around as a single unit, push onto somebody. Maybe you get a couple of off angles here and there, but overall, it seems like RIP wants to be on top of one another. And Sheer Cold has shown prowess in other types of looks that actually hard counter that. You've got dive with the Wrecking Ball. You've got double shield that can set up those sight lines from the sides. It'll be interesting to see what Sheer Cold just decides to come out on, just because of the fact that, honestly, they could beat them in the mirror, they could beat them in a mismatch. It's all up to them.
And it'll be about who wants to set the tone for the fight, right? At some point, you're either engaging in, you are retaliating and reacting to the team comp they bring to the table, or you're playing yours so well that you force them into the reactionary state. And it's going to be about setting the tone here in this initial opening fight.
Looks like we've got a bit of a mirror, actually. Outside of a couple of select choices, both hit-scan players opting for the Soldier 76. I think going to be setting up on those pillars in the middle of your screens there. Krandop looking at it, trying to find a good dive on his Wrecking Ball. Maybone also on Tracer, Cafe mirroring. That duel is going to be something to really hone in on, because if Cafe can run rampant, that's RIP's best chance in some of these fights.
Oh, and you don't want a Tracer running rampant, especially when ults are online on top of it. Right now, we can see, so far, Rebrand in Progress trying to make some space on the point, but it's Sheer Cold pushing the back, and that's going to be a reset for Rebrand after losing Pure Irish.
I mean, he just evaporated. He's just gone in an instant. It feels like he wasn't even able to put his shield back up. Sheer Cold still with the 5v6. They get the capture percentage, and it seems like RIP just does not want to go away just yet. They're willing to take this trade, but this is going to favor Sheer Cold. They're building ults and setting up a dive.
And they've just collapsed around Rebrand so far, continuing to pepper them while they're stuck in this corner. Time is burning and possession is still being ticked up in favor of Sheer Cold. Rebrand needs to get something solid so they can actually push forward with more threat.
Yeah, RIP to the first half of the map, it feels like, for Sheer Cold, as they basically just dominate the whole 2 fights through. And now Maymone setting up on the flank once again, scouting for Blur on this side angle, trying to find the Wrecking Ball, and he's found his target, takes the health back, is going to get help from Krandop as well. So Blur is completely out of the fight, and now Sheer Cold can set up another good dive.
Oh, Blur completely out of fight. That's not what you want coming through. And Sheer Cold just aggressing forward, taking this space on top of it. They've got ults for days of Mintis, and they don't even need to use it after those rockets.
Again, it's just individual picks that give Sheer Cold the advantage, and this is what I was talking about. Sheer Cold is comfortable on pretty much everything. They're forcing the engage once again. The stick lands, and he dies before it even explodes. They're layering these damage sources so effectively, they don't even need ults.
Wow, I mean, Sheer Cold just shut down any attempt from Rebrand to move forward and take the space. Eli gets popped straight into the minefield. I mean, that hurts me.
Yeah, this is what I meant when I said Sheer Cold never had their hand forced. This is what a lot of the fights looked like for them in their previous match against Mind Goblin. Things were just over before they could even start for the enemy team, and that makes players like Blur, like Cafe feel forced to start these engages, but that leaves them open for the counterpunch. They've used up all the defensives, and now in overtime, it's favoring Sheer Cold.
And Sheer Cold still hasn't used any of their support ultimates. Eli does manage to take the pick and get a little bit of traction for RIP, but it's going to have to be incredible if they flip this point here at the last 99 moment. The rally comes through. RIP trying to stay in this fight and stay tough. Loser drops the trance, and Asking can capitalize. The damage is there as he gets aggressive, but does manage to pay for it with his life at the end. OT bar trickles down at the end as they weren't quite able to hop back on.
I mean, half of the ults didn't even appear for Sheer Cold there. They literally just played basic default Overwatch and 100-0'd RIP. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about RIP looks a lot more comfortable on tight brawl-based comps where you want to stack together, where you can layer in AoE heals together, because in a lot of these individual matchups, they're just kind of getting outclassed. Blur on that Wrecking Ball was repeatedly chased down by Maymone and Krandop on that other side. You commit 2 for 1, and then you just take that advantage right back to the enemy team because there's no way that RIP can respond. Now as we go towards Mecha Base, a brawl-centric map, as you can see on the right side of your screen, Sheer Cold is swapping to it. It still seems like RIP does not want to give up dive just yet.
We'll have to see if, the same tactic can continue to work for them, or if Sheer Cold is going to be able to handle it once again. Big Blur booped off the top as Blur comes through and just pretty much knocks him around. It is Andraco going down in the back from NKZ, though, and that is the Discord offline. Discord has been so critical for them to try to get that extra damage, but it's not going to be enough, especially once he's already caught.
NKZ playing that fight out brilliantly, in my opinion. You trade your mech, your life, for a kill on the Zenyatta, and as the Brawl comp, you just regroup right back around that player, and it's almost like you never left. Back out of mech right now for the next engage. And as the capture percentage ticks up, Sheer Cold need to be aware that their deep is out of mech, but they got a good wall and a pure Irish.
Yeah, and sectioned out and demeched really early in this fight, already putting them on the back foot as Pure Irish just trying to get either a reset or there it is, finally killed off, and 20% in favor of Sheer Cold. Rebrand still not able to get any space or movement towards this objective, Amentis.
It seems like the tanks of RIP have to be the ones to open things up because right now the DPS just can't. And that's why they end up swapping to match Brawl, finally going to go towards the Mirror, something that they might have a bit more success on. Problem is, you wasted 2 fights and just gave everybody on Sheer Cold their ults. This is a very tough ask to try to win this.
And with this high ground assault coming through from Rebrand, they're going to be looking to engage long ways. Like you said, ult economy is massively behind for them since they had so many team swats over the top with the Reinhardt, just trying to get aggressive in their face, but that blizzard from Maymone is so tough, so terrible, difficult.
I don't blame you for the pronunciation on that. What even is that name, by the way? I'll forgive him for it, but as a caster, come on, man, give me a break here. Nonetheless, Asking kills 4 with the tack visor. It's another day at the office for Sheer Cold as we hit 72% on the capture percentage. They're holding these chokes so effectively that it's preventing a good engage coming out from RIP, and they're rotating around the map to burn as much time as possible, trying to set up these tanks with their ults.
There's the self-destruct over the top, catches Cafe. That's a lot of damage out of the picture for Rebrand, followed up with even more coming through from NKZ. They can't even punch through these hallways here, and now we're at 94%. It is going to be desperation for Rebrand to even try and get back on this point. I don't know if they can. There it is, a quick touch at the very end, but the OT bar is being triggered down. It's just a couple of last picks coming through for Sheer Cold, and well, looks like they are going to continue to try and hold strong here for this last map. A little bit of a desperate attempt coming through from Blair, and well, still trickling on, but Sheer Cold looking strong, handling these impacts and coming in.
Yeah, they just have to clear out the last couple of members, and it is finally going to happen as Pure Irish and Sobek expire. 100-0, 100-0, back-to-back for Sheer Cold. Didn't even break a sweat.
Yeah, I mean, didn't even break a sweat is a little bit of an understatement considering the fact they didn't have to use their ultimates on the first round.
Yeah.
That's never gonna happen for me. That's not even in my own dreams would I not need an ultimate.
Speaking of dreams, this kind of felt like a fever dream to me, where I'm just sitting and watching the same thing happen over and over again, and I'm just kind of powerless to stop any of it. Rebrand in Progress just runs their head, their thick skulls, right into Sheer Cold's very sharp, damaging swords of all of those basic abilities and guns, and they just can't win any of those fights because they had already given up so much control and so much time that Sheer Cold just builds up the ults and comes right back into it. So Rebrand in Progress, with the map choice for themselves, they need to go figure out where they can abuse some of the strengths that they have. I think in 6-man dive and brawl, you can pivot towards something else. And even still, on Busan, we saw Mecha Base. They just chose not to play it. So a bit of a head scratcher for me, because that's what worked for them in the past, but now they're just kind of giving it up, and as a direct result, Sheer Cold just beat them.
Yeah, and it seems like Rebrand in Progress is also kind of one of those teams that doesn't want to give up a fight easily. We saw it in our previous match of Aya versus O1, where these teams would just continue to move forward and keep aggressing. Doesn't matter if you're down a man or if they're down a man, because they're going to keep trying to take this fight the distance. And, you know, on Control, it does get a little bit more out of hand in favor of point possession for the opponent if you keep pushing in and dragging out those fights over and over.
Alrighty. Well, in long fights, I think that is going to favor the team that's got more experience together, and that team is Sheer Cold, right? And so even at the end of the day, when you look at the strategies being employed by RIP, at least in the long term, it almost feels like it's just not going to compare to what Sheer Cold throws back at them. And our next season engages are in tight corridors, and things can end extremely quickly if you allow it. Or actually, no, looks like we got a last-minute correction. We're going to Route 66 instead. Sorry, I got baited.
I mean, even Prod got baited in the background. It's okay. You know, these teams, they don't always know what they want to run, and obviously there's some last-minute changes and thoughts about how Rebrand in Progress is going to want to engage with Sheer Cold. Moving into Route 66, you know, it's a little bit more open. Do you think it's going to be more of a comfort pick for them? Yes, they picked the map, but is that actually going to mean they're comfortable playing in it against and into Sheer Cold?
Well, a team that is as strong as Sheer Cold, good question. They've already shown that they're capable of basically playing whatever they want on that first map. They come out on the dive comp, set up all around RIP in the first sub-map of Busan, 100-0. Then they come out on Brawl, 100-0 again. At this point, I don't think it really matters what Sheer Cold plays. It's really about how RIP decides to take some of these fights. And as we go towards Route 66, it's interesting to consider some of the potential counters coming out, because RIP is stuck on attack here, right? They have to scout, swap, figure out what's going to work, what isn't. And if that first punch, that first comp that they select does not end up landing, Sheer Cold gets the ult advantage. And we've seen what they can do when they have control. They just don't want to give it up.
And it is hard to wrench away the control from them once they have it as well. And that is, you know, obviously part of the battle. I'm curious to see if, you know, Rebrand is going to be able to utilize some of that spawn advantage. Maybe initially put Sheer Cold on the back foot, try to throw them off balance a little bit, and then really move forward in a, you know, very strong afterwards to follow up.
Something that we noted in a lot of the past matches of RIP so far is that Cafe has been the difference maker for this team in the past. And so far in this match, the only difference that he's made is that he's on the right side of the kill feed instead of the left in this one. He just keeps dying. He's getting consistently shut out by Sheer Cold, particularly the hit scan threat from Asking. And Asking as a player is just so accurate and deadly that if you try to go duel him, you are more than likely to lose, especially as a tracer into a soldier, which was that interaction we just saw previously. So already, RIP, a lot of their initial ideas are floundering, and now they have to go towards something completely different.
And, this was the map choice of Rebrand, but the side pick of Sheer Cold. So, curious to see how they are mentally ready to handle defense first. I know I think I've asked you in the past which one you prefer, offense or defense first. And you talked about team mentality really setting the tone. What do you think's going on right now?
Well, if you just got, let's be honest here, stomped on the first map, and now you are forced to attack, if something doesn't work initially, you're going to immediately start panicking because, again, we talked about the control that Sheer Cold can have, and when you dominate that hard, it makes total sense to select defense just to demoralize them even further, if that's your goal. Nonetheless, we're going towards a brand new mirror comp here. Both sides are going to be playing double shield with the snipers. Eli skewing it with the tracer, trying to get a good flank set up underneath this left side, maybe reach Big Earls instead of a good push onto the back line of Anjin Lucid.
And Draco's already gone down, though, so that's so much sustainability off the board for Rebrand. Immo won't keep them topped off or actually alive in the fight. And, well, now they've given some space, waiting for him to come back and just trying to push this cart a little bit around the corner.
Yeah, Eli wants to go underneath, and then Asking sees he's on Tracer and just drops right there. That's one shot potential on a Tracer. A single headshot from the Ash means you lose, and your push is over. And in the meantime, Andrico dies. Everywhere you look, Sheer Cold is pressuring them down repeatedly. The snipers are just not missing for Sheer Cold.
No, and there's nothing you can do when they are on point like that. You're getting headhunted left and right, and the follow-up from these DPS characters onto the halt is just so devastating on the resources of Rebrand, constantly forcing them to need to heal people up, throw those armor packs early, and commit Immo early.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And looking at some of the selections here, Brigitte from Sobek is going to really struggle to proc Inspire into a lot of these heroes. Sheer Cold want to play far away. They don't want to get up close in your face. They're just going to pressure you tightly on these rotations. Blur already going down below half HP. No Lamp coming up, but Cafe going down below half as well. Everybody on the side of RIP is getting taken so low before the fight even starts.
Bob just plows through everyone and Rebrand right there, and now is taking the duel head-to-head. Couple of exchanges, and it's a chance for Rebrand here to try and find some traction, but the res onto Waymount is so good there, and afterwards he's going to be continuing to put in this nasty Hanzo damage. He has just been relentless in breaking those shields, creating those opportunities, and oh man, even more devastating as there's so many angles Rebrand is being attacked from.
NKZ has been unlodged from that right side. Eventually, the stack from RIP overcomes some of the snipers on the left. Maymon goes down twice in this fight. Now Craned Up has this bongo and no contestant on this high ground. This will allow everybody from Sheer Cold to play up with it.
I like how the tail of the dragon just tickles Crandrop a bit on the high ground, but oh, it's both DPS being exchanged for the teams. Mamo is going to be the one coming up big as he continues to just berate Rebrand in progress. It doesn't matter that they pop their Amp Matrix because they cannot shoot through it enough to put the damage into Sheer Cold.
Crandrop expertly played that fight. You saw he was standing on the corner of the high ground, which not only lets him maintain that vertical advantage, but also contest the objective at the same time. And even in the face of Andrico's Amp Matrix, not enough damage through that window because they were pressured from those off angles, just like you talked about. Sheer Cold identifying the win conditions, and then just a little bit more with these stagger kills. Man, it is just so rough for RIP.
Yeah, and they're pretty much walking into the maw of Sheer Cold and being encircled every time from so many different angles. You've got one side of Big Earls being pressured by Blur, you've got Pure Irish over there on the ledge, and then you have Mamo up the middle just continuing to berate and capitalize off of every halt being thrown into Rebrand. We've got 30 seconds left. They gotta make or break it.
Rico gets pulled up over the side once again. NKZ has just been uncontested over here. Finally, Pure Irish throws the Flux at him, gets him a little bit low, but the lamp comes out, and it's 15 seconds. You're down 2 members already. It's panic time.
Yeah, and Rebrand is going to do everything they can to try and stay alive and contest at the very last moment, but with how much pressure is being put out from Crandrop and NKZ, I don't think they're even going to be able to touch right there.
Just waves at him, just accepts his fate as round 1 expires on this Route 66 attack. They don't even get close. I mean, RIP got outclassed on the first map, and then it seems like Sheercold just takes him right back to school on the second. It's just unstoppable from Sheercold, and this is the reason why they have been able to escape trials in first place so consistently. They're just on another level from some of these teams.
And they are really showing that, I mean, if you were to compare right now, Sheercold is looking like the absolute varsity all-stars, as they have just been, they look comfortable, they don't look panicked, and the amount of crossfire coming through is just devastating for Rebrand, and they can't, I don't know where you would look if you're getting attacked from all angles, Amintus.
That is kind of the core issue here for RIP, because there are just too many fires to put out with just one watering hose. You got to call in the fire department to get some more assistance on this one. And right now, their first answer has always been to put Eli on this Tracer. And in the face of Asking's Ashe, which I talked about as just too accurate to try and duel, to try and rotate around, it's not going to work. At least on defense, though, you have the element of surprise. You're able to come from off angles. Maybe this is the opportunity that RIP needs to set up their own angles by using that element of surprise by starting on defense, and that's what opens things up for them. But I mean, how long can you really hold that on for? It's 4 minutes, and they only have to get it a little bit further.
Payload's gonna roll out here as we see Eli sharking around, trying to find some targets and scope out information. Information can be key and is absolutely an opportunity for them to try and capitalize and, well, see who is out of place and ready to jump on them. A little bit of pressure coming up from Sobek on that high ground hallway there, but just aggressing and keeping Sheercold from pushing through themselves. Around the corner here, and not a lot of pressure yet, but Eli slowly moving into position, looking for that Hanzo. Doesn't quite find the halt capitalization, but there's still a lot of damage being put through from Rebrand. Sheercold, though, Amintus is rolling the payload for it, and they don't have to roll it far.
Asking is on Pharah, by the way. Just forgot to mention that the hit scan player for Sheercold is on Pharah here. Layering in those rockets, trying to punish this Brigitte and Sigma in the top right corner of your screen. And it is finally starting to bear fruit. He's going to layer in these rockets. They have to run quickly, but not quickly enough. Sobek is dead.
And there's not much you can do as a Brig against a Pharah. Pure Irish is pretty much a sitting duck right there. Does manage to get the stun with that accretion, but Asking goes ahead, punches him in return. Got the Hanzo duel here with Cafe, reinforced by Andraco's immortality field. Almost gave him the opportunity to stay alive, but they're still going back and forth. We see Mamo wanted to take the duel and is able to come out victorious, and Andraco polished off on top of it. Victory box is just inches away from Sheercold, and Rebrand can't quite continue to hold strong. The DMEC comes through from Pure Irish, and that's going to be a map close on Route 66 for Sheercold.
2-0 in this series. Waffles, it's looking like domination once again for them.
Whew.
And at this point, it's looking so dire for RIP that I don't even know where you can go for the next map, because they already showed that they are not confident in their 6-man and their brawl anymore when they didn't play it on Mecha Base.
Yeah.
Now they go towards Route 66 to force the double shield mirror. They lose there too with Asking playing Pharah. Like, how do you come back from this? It's just so many different ways that Sheercold can beat you. You can't even count them on 2 hands.
And that really goes to show the strength that Sheercold has in their diversity and comfortability being adaptable. And it's those types of traits that will take them very far through the trials. And, you know, I'm sure they have been refining that for a long time, as, you know, they want to be that high competitive team that's a huge threat in Contenders. And being able to bring such a different type of composition to these fights will be critical moving forward.
Yeah, I think the bigger question here is really how Sheercold carries this success beyond trials. At this point, it's kind of a foregone conclusion that they're going to make it out after plays and games and maps like this. they're playing lights out compared to the competition at this level.
Right.
Really, the problem for them has always been going against better teams and contenders. But right now, I would like to mention that a lot of these adaptations that we've been seeing compositionally speaking shows that they are comfortable in this new meta where things are not just going to be locked into one set comp with 6 heroes. I think in the past couple of months, metas have defined which teams win. If you're the best at a certain composition, you're likely going to have a better time than others. But now it really is about who is the most flexible, who can pull out all the stops, make all the surprises with hero choice, and really make the difference. And I think Sheer Cold has got it.
Yeah, they have been very, very strong. Obviously, their record shows that as well. We'll have to see if that can continue, though. They are up 2-0 in the first of 3 series, Amentis, and they don't look like they're going to show any signs of slowing down. We'll have to see if, Rebrand can come back, bring a little bit more heat and just opposition to Sheer Cold coming up. But don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be back after this quick break. Hey folks, welcome back to the Contenders Trials EU. We are about to move into our third map of Blizzard World, Amentis, seeing Sheer Cold face off against Rebrand in progress. Sheer Cold's been pretty much dominating these last couple of maps and showing why they are a well-known name in this scene. What are your thoughts about them as they're moving into Blizzard World? And, not their map pick of choice, of course, but still could be a little bit different.
Well, they're taking their time to ready up in the lobby, and I think that's because they're going to have to make some adjustments in their strategy. So far, we've seen that they're capable on dive and double shield, sure. And there was a brief moment where they were clapping Rebrand in progress in the Brawl Mirror, but honestly, all 3 of them, they could be played here, right? I think it was really going to be more about what they decide to come out with first, because that will define the tempo for RIP. When you're on defense, you have the opportunity to say, hey, I think that we are really good at this and you can't beat us. And then it leaves the attacking side with that chance to go back and spawn, maybe make a couple swaps, or really believe in their own strategy and match it up against yours. And especially on a longer map like Blizzard World, the strategy here is key. You only get so many fights with how long the sight lines are, with how long it takes to set up some of these engages. So it's really about whether RIP can figure out a consistent strategy that works right at the beginning, because we saw what happens when they don't. They just get full health.
And, it's really tough to get that foothold and traction you need to break through the defense of Sheer Cold. Sheer Cold seems to be very calm and giving space, and I believe that the scouting coming through and the information that they're exchanging has to be so fast because they're responding to threats and capitalizing on each other's opportunities very quickly. And I mean, maybe they're not communicating at all. Maybe they've been together enough and they just can read exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just very fast response time.
There's no better example of that than when we saw Asking's response to Eli's Tracer on Route 66. They get that scout info. They know that the Tracer's going to try to come through one of those off angles. So what does Asking do? Just drops down one of the two sides and basically prevents him from ever walking through, forces that 5v6, and on the front line, they win the sniper battle with the shields. At the end of the day, it does seem like Sheercold is just passing information so quickly between one another that a lot of these decisions are so split-second, Rebrand and Progress cannot respond.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The changes coming through are very fast, and honestly, Sheercold sets up and says, "You shall not pass."
Yeah.
And Rebrand isn't so far.
They might need some kind of wizard with a staff to match at this point. Get a 7th player in the lobby to have a chance in this series, because right now it is just Team Diff and Sheercold are looking to keep that dominance going back towards Asking on that Pharah, but without a pocket. There we go. Okay, back to Tracer. I was getting a little bit concerned there. That would have been maybe BM, maybe a little bit, but nonetheless, he's settled on the Tracer. And this is a hero he's very comfortable on, and he's going to have a lot of resources to pop off as well. Packs coming in from Anj, orbs from Lucer to disable the enemy team. So Cafe and Asking, this is the matchup to watch, at least on this first point here.
Yeah, and you know, these Discord orbs from the Zenyatas is going to be critical in allowing their teams to capitalize on that extra damage potential. Discord's, I mean, you're a Zen player, you know, the ability to add damage from all targets is so incredible. I mean, that's very nasty. No one wants that on them, and it's been really tough for the balls on that front. They keep getting attacked, and got some skirmish coming through. Both ball and Tracer combos taking on each other, but Mamo in the back scouting out once again, giving so much good information to his team, Momentous.
Sheercold knows exactly where this push is coming in from RIP. They've made it into Snax Ramus, but Maimon has been detected by Blur, so we get a bit of a duel on that side. Meanwhile, Asking dueling Cafe, like we talked about, but right now it seems like Cafe has a bit of an advantage. No recall force from Asking. Nonetheless, exchanges both ways.
They are going to zip around left and right, and, well, can't quite find the kills onto each other, but the damage and pressure is there. Now Asking's trying to go for the support line. Can he find the kills? No, not quite. Cafe gets him in response, and Rebrand continuing to flood the kill feed here a bit. They've got this opportunity to press forward. Eli does go down, but they do have numbers still in their favor. Amentus, 1 tick already on the board for them. Sheercold still trying to get back to defend.
Asking just goes a bit too deep, gets caught out after the recall is forced. And again, it seems like Sheercold does not want to give this up. They're trying to contest. It's Asking to touch, but the recall's gone once more. Maimon spotted out, almost down low. Just has to translocate out, and that means the first point goes over to RIP.
This is a great look from RIP so far. You talked about how they needed to set that momentum in the beginning to be able to break through Sheercold, and ouch.
There goes the momentum. Bye.
Yeah.
Cafe back to spawn, courtesy of the 5 orb from Lucer around the corner. That is a terrifying prospect if you play Tracer. Every corner is a deadly threat when that Zenyatta is on point like Lucer. He's going to have this Transcendence online as well. And again, another early pick goes in the way of Sheercold. Another support is gone. So back-to-back starting picks in favor of Sheercold. The stick comes in from Cafe, though, so now it's equal.
And there's a 3-man EMP onto Rebrand in response. Not any kills coming off the back end of it, but there it is. More pressure coming up once again from Sheercold as Cramdrop is relentless in this harassment.
Yeah, Asking, he was like, I'm not getting enough on this Tracer duel. I'm just not even going to bother. Let's play some Soldier. Just swaps back over to another comfort pick of his, and he can perform a lot better without as many resources. Problem is, one of those big resources is caught out. Lucer gets almost picked off, and that leaves everybody else on Sheercold open. They have to rotate away, so more free card progress to RIP.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Asking is going to have a bit more independence on this Soldier. He's, Soldier's a well-balanced character as far as can heal himself up a little bit, can run away fast enough to get away. Kind of gives me the Mario vibe, right? Medium stats across the board, and but not fast enough. Cafe is gonna capitalize and catch up to him with those blinks, continuing to put the damage in because him and Andraco are absolutely a duo here. They have been killing anyone that is Discord, and the Wolf Bomb, he recalls just out of the way before being self-destructed by that Bulls.
Looks like a bit of a recontest can still come in because NKC this entire time has been holding it down on the front line, stalling out the cart, getting 2 trade kills. And with Andrico gone, no Transcendence to sustain the fight, RIP have to back away.
RIP trying to get some more traction here on the side. Fell very low as the recall is forced out. And he dashes straight into the self-destruct of NKZ. Bye-bye, Cafe.
That is the repeated theme here. I'd say 75% of these fights are just decided by picks from sheer cold. But once RIP gets into the team fight stage, they're proving themselves capable. Problem is, I think Sheer Cold have done such a good job scouting things out with this Stealth Sombra, knowing exactly where the flankers are, that these picks are basically guaranteed as long as there's no trades coming through.
Sheer Cold's picks have been nasty. EMP doesn't matter! And Draco was already popping trance before then. It didn't catch anyone. Great anticipation coming through from him. And now Asking's trying to keep anyone from Rebrand at bay with the visor. Didn't look like too much coming through off the back end of that.
Yeah, honestly, that EMP was kind of all for naught because Asking gets the kill on the left side instead, and that allows Sheer Cold to play things a little bit slower. But now their hand's going to get forced. The re-attack, the re-up coming through from RIP. Discord onto Eli. He's getting taken very low. Not close to that copy just yet. Lots of low health bars on Sheer Cold as well, so Looser needs to be careful with this trick.
Oh, CC to death right there. Krandov didn't stand a chance jumping into Sobek with a bash. Now Rebrand is up by 1 man, and the hack on the Blur is devastating. The Discord is able to let him get mowed down after that, and Rebrand needs to get some traction. That's what they needed, Amentis. They're going to be able to roll this to the second point, and it looks like they do not want to give up this series yet.
Not just yet. They've capped second, and they've got 2.5 minutes to get through third. So far, like we talked about, when they don't get picked off first, RIP can basically just walk all over Sheer Cold in the team fight. It feels like some of the ultimates from Sheer Cold are just not landing. But again, it's the neutral play that makes the difference. Krandop gets the pick onto Zenyatta off of our screens, out of the minds of RIP, and now it's another 5v6.
Rebrand has got to be more careful of those initial picks coming through from Sheer Cold. It is what's setting them behind in the opening of these fights, and well, now they've committed the duplicate here from Eli. He gets stunned a bit in his duplicate form, doesn't find any kills, and is still ripped out of his dupe. Now they're still trying to continue and aggress forward, but there it is, the stick! Oh, it's big, Amentis!
Cafe trying to be the hero for RIP in the final hour, and he's making it work. Getting that stick onto the Brigade, it was so clutch right as the rally ends from Anj. RIP, again, even in the spite of asking, or rather Cafe going down early to Krandop, they still win the 5v6 when he comes back. They just need to stay alive long in these fights to have a chance for themselves.
Can Sheer Cold hold strong here in this last point of Blizzard World? It's the best 4 defenders. Obviously, spawn advantage is very apparent for them. Can they make it with this engage? Pure Irish is already hacked up in the back, but exchanges back and forth for both teams. They're evened up numbers-wise, so it could still be anyone's fight, but it's going to be about continuing to capitalize on the minefield of Blur. He goes ahead, takes down Loser on top of it, and now Rebrand is still continuing to move this point forward. It is inching closer and closer to this third point. Krandrop has the mines. He's going to have to use them to zone Rebrand back when the time is right. And now there it is, dropping him in the middle, trying to keep anyone from touching after that. But it is not a fight lost yet. Rebrand does not want to give it up. They are still getting the kills in their favor, but they just got to handle the respawns coming through from Sheer Cold, Amentis.
Asking to get the pulse bomb onto, I believe that was Andrico. So much going on in this last second contest here from both of these teams, and the copy from Eli is the one that makes the difference. Getting the rally to make sure nobody else gets traded out, keeps RIP secure on the objective. And in a shock to me, RIP finds success in the dive mirror. I just did not see this one coming. I did not think that they had it in them, given their past couple of matches where they lost on it. And now it seems like they actually showed some progress throughout the course of this series. they're not ready to just give this up like everybody else expects them to.
No. And this is exactly what I wanted Rebrand to try and do, is to dig deep and put up some good opposition to Sheer Cold. I think that Cafe and Andraco fell into a good rhythm as the Tracer and Zenyatta combination. A lot of discorded targets that Cafe was following up on or pressuring into Andraco's view. He got a lot of support kills over there, which, always nice to see. I'm always in favor.
I gotta say that getting kills on supports is often a lot more valuable than getting kills on anybody else. It's one of the heads of the Hydra that matters the most, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially in some of those overtime contests. And when Cafe really started taking it to Anj and Lucer, they didn't have an immediate response. It really did come off of the back of Krandop opening things up for them consistently. And then when that is not happening anymore, like we talked about, Cafe has all the room and all the mechanics in the world to pop off. And that's exactly why they cap with overtime, 33 seconds in their time bank. If they can get a good hold on first here, burn a lot of time off the clock, they could maybe secure themselves a lifeline in this series.
Yeah, it is first to 3 with Sheer Cold up by 2. It is make or break it time for Rebrand right now. Oh, Krandrop circling around, and there it is, the off-tank combo with Cafe here, trying to keep the pressure in this hallway. Does go ahead and bail out, and the D-Mech early on to Pure Irish could set Rebrand back a little bit.
They have to kite. They have to get this mech back, and in the meantime, Sheer Cold is going to go very deep. Blur gets stunned out of his roll. No shields, no adaptation coming through. He has to try to roll away and does survive. But in the meantime, Lucer's clicking heads.
Oh my gosh. Don't sit in this room with Lucer, guys. You don't want to do it. He's just going to keep hitting you with these orbs, and the Discord is shredding them.
That is a lot of damage coming through. And when your Zenyatta is landing shots, that's just another layer of pressure that you have to be concerned about. Great kill coming back onto asking. Maybe RIP can touch? Not looking likely. Full cap on first goes over to Sheer Cold. Now, honestly, not a lot of resistance being shown early on just yet, off of the back of some early picks, like we talked about. So RIP need to start to consolidate their strategy here and prevent some of these early deaths.
Both supports from Sheer Cold in this room right now, and they are supporting each other up the wazoo. Lucer is coming up with another kill. Oh my gosh, someone shut this guy down. He is absolutely shredding anyone who's trying to push through.
And everybody else that tries to push through on the side of RIP lives up to their name. They're dead. They're just gone. They cannot kill anybody in this room right now. And especially with this Transcendence from Loser, that puts the bookend on this team fight. Chasing out the last couple of staggered members, even stealing the hacked health pack away from Cafe. The DPS are just stuck in no man's land right now.
Man, and this stagger time just is tough for people like Cafe. Thankfully, he's going to walk back a little bit quicker, and KZ went for a dip there, maybe trying to re-mech themselves. And, well, Sheer Cold looking very comfortable pushing this cart along, although it's still not quite. It's about halfway through the second checkpoint.
Things are looking a little bit disjointed from here. Sheer Cold getting caught out once again. They have to pop the rally, but they lost Lucer. Finally, the unkillable Zenyatta goes down, and RIP gonna get some control back. But again, I think it was just a little too disjointed. There were some members of Sheer Cold stuck in spawn, and at that point, you need to wait for everybody to get ready to get that dive going. You just need to take a little bit more time there. And already you can see when Sheer Cold does not have control in the series, RIP knows what to do. They're forcing out some poor ultimates.
Yeah, IRT is comfortable in the chaos, and well, Maylo's EMP didn't yield a lot of results in that last fight either. Had a couple of targets, but still Rebrand came out on top and was able to hold strong. They are getting chased a bit here in the side, and well, it looks like they are handling Sheer Cold's pretty much funneling in from their spawn.
They have to try to get out of this spawn hold. It is a vice grip right now, and the cart is rolling backwards with each second that Sheer Cold cannot touch.
No.
Point comes in from Eli, and that's a burst onto Lucer. That is so big because he was so close to Transcendence. And now, without that support healing coming through, the spawn camp will continue.
Sobek got taken down from the pulse bomb, and that's it. Sheer Cold has gotten their traction. Once they get moving forward, Amintus, they just continue to clear out Rebrand.
I feel so sorry for both of these Zenyatas. I feel like every single fight, both teams are just laser focused on this floating Omnic and just trying to remove him immediately. And that time it works for RIP, but not well enough. They lose a couple in response. And even though Maymon's EMPs have not been getting a lot of results in the past, I think now is really the time. He needs to shut out Andrico before he gets this drink.
Yeah, this EMP needs to be pretty much one of the hero plays. What? That initial manual hack opened up the gates. Now he can just use the EMP to take everyone else down. Asking's there to follow up, of course, and he is continuing to put the pressure on. Wow, Amentis, that was nasty.
Psych, that's the wrong hack. Uses the manual one instead of the EMP there. Andrico was not expecting it, feels forced to use it. They somehow, RIP is trying to go for this contest, maybe burn a little bit more time off the clock, but it already looks so dire. Committing ults at this point is just kind of going to waste.
Yeah, you know, they're going to be wanting some of those resources back for these later holds as Sheer Cold. I mean, they still haven't completely capped it to the second checkpoint. This is actually a substantial amount of time being burned off the clock from Rebrand here, as they're just doing their best to keep a little pressure off on this last point.
Sure, it does buy time, though. And that's a good thing to mention, because at this point it feels like RIP are exchanging time for the ultimate advantage the enemy team might get. I think RIP wants to take a lot of long, stalled-out fights just to burn the clock, and then, ooh, okay, well, you can't burn the clock when you lose 2 DPS, or rather, your DPS and your support. So already Sheer Cold just saying, no, I think the clock is in our favor because we're going to kill you.
I mean, it's exactly what you were talking about beforehand with this initial in-between picks before the full team fight engage. Sheer Cold are picking off Rebrand before they have a chance to be the 6-man squad they need for their engagements and that they shine in. And, you know, they gotta watch their 6 way more, Amentis.
Cold recognizes the team is split. They go for the solo EMP on a pure Irish. Sophie gets caught in the chaos as well. Down with the rally. Nice pulse bomb from Asking.
Ooh,
they can finish up this kill. Ooh, but the trades come through. It doesn't seem like RIP has lost just yet.
No, RIP does not want to give this up. Sheer Cold trying to find the traction and the defense they need, but they are continuing to move forward here. Sheer Cold, finding the offense they need and moving this cart along, Amentis. Rebrand's got a couple of ults to respond and try to space them out, but it's going to be tight.
EMP was so clutch from Maymon this time around. It lands, but now it has to be the tanks from Sheer Cold to make the difference. Both sides have tank ultimates. Who gets more value?
Big self-destruct over the top, and Draco's out of the picture. No chance for Rebrand to come up to this next fight here. It's just Eli trying to do his best on this Bastion, and the point! No one was there to touch it!
Well, yeah, so you swap the Bastion to try to laser some people down. They have the answer. Just don't even bother peeking. Just touch the point, and you win. There you go. Sheer Cold
name of the game.
Manages to capture with a little bit of extra time over RIP. And again, it feels like a bit of an outclass at this point. They clapped back with that attack. They got more time in the mirror, and Maymon actually starting to sort of figure out what the right play style is with Sombra. Previously, it just wasn't hitting on defense because a lot of the time, when those initial picks weren't coming through for Sheer Cold, RIP would just run past the Sombra, and the EMP was basically irrelevant.
Right.
But now, on the attacking side, when you get to define after a fight win where the fight takes place, Maymon is a lot more comfortable landing EMPs on key targets, particularly the tanks. Pure Irish has been getting exposed, as well as Blur, from these individual hacks. And Maymon's individual hack onto Andrico was also what opened up their second point push.
Yeah.
So right now, it seems like this Sombra for Sheer Cold is just on fire.
And the use of, you know, just your standard kit abilities to be so impactful, knowing, I mean, I will say this for Sheer Cold as a whole, it seems like they know when they actually need to commit ultimate resources or if they can just hold them and keep the ults in their pocket for a later fight.
That's controlling the flow right there, Waffles. You are so comfortable that you don't even care what the enemy team does. You are so confident in your own play that you can just do whatever you want. And right now what Sheer Cold wants to do is shut out Blur. They're flanking him on that right side, force the adaptive shields early, and they get the hack onto the D.Va, so no Matrix coming through. This is a lot of EMP charge for Maymon as he recalls away.
Oh man, they're not going to be ready for EMP to be online this fast or this early. They should expect it with the way he's been playing, but it's going to be tough. Right now they are engaging here on the side room with a couple of stuns and resources out, but No one's gone down quite yet. They're trying to section off Blur. Blur gets hacked and does manage to escape. Pure Irish DMing him a bit, but there's the follow-up coming through. NKZ getting aggressive, and Sombra's here taking a quick little high five with each other. The point though, only at 2 seconds left, so there's gonna have to be someone on if they're going to contest and get this capture. Asking's kill onto Andraco's gonna be so devastating for Rebrand. And what? They are gonna, there's no hope right there as they are trying to move forward and cap the point, but they're, man, Amentis, this is absolutely nutty as another EMP stalling out the point even longer than before.
It's just not enough. You lost too many at the beginning there from RIP, particularly Andrico on that Zenyatta. He thought he was safe, but then Asking coming right back around, lasering him down with those pulse pistols. And losing your supports in overtime, something we've hit on a lot this series, detrimental to your success chances. You don't get sustain, you don't get a defensive, you don't get any of those amplifying resources that enable the rest of your team to pop off. And Cathay was getting handled on the side as well. When your Tracer and your Zenyatta are just getting shut up that quickly, and Blur has to be the one to step up, Maymon's there to hack him out every single time. RIP feels like they have a distinct advantage. Sheer Cold cuts it right off.
Yeah, and that is tough for RIP, mentally to run up against this wall of literally sheer cold over and over again. And they do look very comfortable taking on those duels on the side. And well, Lucer is just coming out with a vengeance on Blizzard World. He was nasty that last map.
Absolutely. And I think it was really Sheer Cold's ability to pocket Lucer and ensure that he never went down in some of those engages. It was really close, I'd say 50% of the time. But when he doesn't die, compared to Andrico, who just gets blown up instantly, you're going to have an easier time with it. And now, with this draw secured and 1 minute and 53 seconds for Sheer Cold to attack the first point of Blizzard World, this is time for their victory lap. It is time to show everybody just how strong you are on Dive.
Can Sheer Cold continue to, dominate like we've seen and, just bring out the strong fundamentals early? Scout coming through. Quemo not able to get the hack onto the health pack there. Wasn't quite sneaky enough needed. And, a little bit of cut. Okay, I thought Crandrop might have been in trouble there on the side, but of course manages to kite away. No problem there. You've got the Tracer and the ball coming together, and Crandrop was so low, is finally finished off to follow up as Rebrand holding strong here on this opening defense.
Eli, somebody that we haven't mentioned too much, has selected 3 different heroes in this map. He's been on Echo, he's been on Sombra, and now he's going towards McCree. This has been his best look so far because it's actually preventing Asking, Maymon, and Crandop from coming through on the stack. That flashbang is deterring the dive from coming through, and it's also allowing him to pressure out Asking on that left side, and now the flankers are split down 2 sides. Blur is on the right, and he's being left completely out to dry, finally goes down, and now with this 5v6, it seems like Sheer Cold has the lead.
Well, Maymo got a hack onto Blur, and he's a sitting duck after that. Everyone just focus fired him down. Now Sheer Cold has moved on to the point, Asking taking down Cafe as Eli follows suit. Now Sheer Cold they're going to aggress forward, and that's them capping this first checkpoint pretty fast here on Blizzard World. Little bit of left here in the tank, coming through from Blur. EMP's going to be big, and that's a shutdown coming through from Sheer Cold with a fantastic performance. 3-0 on our most recent match.
Well, the victory lap, it wasn't perfect. They might have tripped a little bit on the way to the finish line, but they get it done in the end. Full 3-0 victory for Sheer Cold. And again, I want to point to some of the differences between, now that we've casted North American trials and European trials, it seems like half of EU trials is just on a different level. They are just head and shoulders above the second half. Sheer Cold, those are 2 of the 3 teams in this top half that just seem to be uncontested right now. Whereas over on the North American side, there's really only ISE Redbirds, and everything else is a toss-up. So interesting to see this division of skill coming through in EU trials, and I really do hope that in the final moments, as we finally get to see who goes up to contenders and who doesn't, that some kind of separation occurs again. I really want to see more competitiveness.
I agree. It's been really tough over here on the EU side, a lot of kind of lopsided-esque maps like you were mentioning. And, I'm really curious to see who is actually going to step up and show that they are the powerhouses of EU and set themselves apart, just like we saw on that NA side with Redbirds, right? Who's going to be the unstoppable, dominating force in these trials that, well, there's no question why they belong here and why.
Ooh, looks like we got a dropout again from Sid. Nonetheless, we're gonna take a quick break here. We're gonna throw it to a break to
get
the
an
interview
with Crandrop.
Oh, hello. Are you back? I can't tell. I think there's a big
I am
delay.
back.
Okay, hi.
Hi. Although let me refresh. I don't know why I have to do some serious checking on that.
All good. Nonetheless, we'll throw it to a quick break with this interview for Crandop. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, welcome back to Contenders Trials EU. We have with us from the victorious Sheer Cold Crandrop in the house. Welcome, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on your win, dude.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So obviously you've come off a 3-0 win, and you guys got a little bit more relaxed at the end.
Yeah.
What's going through your minds as the maps progress from the first one to the third one, and what's kind of the overall synergy or vibe coming off?
Well, during the first map, I would say we always take it very, very seriously, and we try to take it seriously throughout the match in general.
Nice.
But after the first map, we did quite well. I and two others on the team didn't die a single time that map. So in the second map, we started making jokes about not dying the entire official. So that was kind of our goal. We started playing a little more passive. In the very end, my unfortunate bad player decided to, let me die because he wanted to save his own life. Very inconsiderate of him, in my opinion. But
Right.
but then we got a bit looser at the end on the third map, as maybe could have been seen. We just had to restabilize and win it in the end. But yeah, it was. We tried to take it seriously, but in the last map we let it loose a little too much.
That's fair, got taken all the way to the end of Blizzard World, and I'm sure it was so selfish of your support to save himself instead of keep you from 0 deaths.
No. He wasn't saving himself. No. He was hiding behind a wall. He was hiding behind a wall. He didn't have any risk.
I'm sure. Well, it seems like you guys are, pretty close as a team on Cheer Cold. What do you guys do maybe outside of the game, as friends or, communication? Do you play any other games together?
We sometimes play a different game called Splitgate. It's basically just a mix between Halo and Sportal. We played a few players played it together.
Nice.
We sometimes just talk to each other. We're friends with each other, of course. But yeah, we mainly just play Overwatch, of course. But Splitgate would be the second pick.
Nice. Well, it seems like you guys are really comfortable with each other, and your communication style is, in my opinion, it looks like you guys are using telepathy because you're responding so fast to opportunities that you're creating. What is that like behind the scenes for you?
A lot of it comes down to just playing a lot together and then just getting to know if someone likes to be aggressive or not. Also, of course, during communication, sometimes someone decides to scream very, very loud, and that's the only thing you can hear for a few seconds. So then you kind of have to turn around. But by playing around each other a long time, you kind of start to notice patterns from each other, and you can help each other.
Totally. Picking up on some of their habits and when they like to overextend or int, and you need to save them.
Yeah, especially a certain hitscan player, but I won't go into names.
Right. Aventus, what do you got for him?
Well, speaking of that hitscan player, there was a certain point in the match where Asking decided to come out on Pharah, and I was wondering just what's going through your head when you look behind you and you see that your hitscan player just decides to lock in Pharah for some reason.
Yeah, no, at that point I was kind of expecting to lose a map, I won't lie. I was already focusing on the second. I was already just in my head thinking about what map pick we should pick for the next one. But somehow he managed to get a pick on the brig. Not quite sure how that happened. That's something you want to see.
Made it work nonetheless. And to get on the more serious side of things, I would like to point to something that I've noticed in a couple of Cheer Cold's past months of contenders and their runs. It seems like a lot of the time you guys are straddling that line between making it into top 4 and then dropping back down into trials. Obviously, this time around, you're just as dominant. You're 3-0. It doesn't really seem like you're going to struggle to make it back. Once you get to contenders, what do you want to be different this time around?
I think in general, what our main issue is that we weren't. Last time we didn't have a great understanding of the meta. So I think in general we've been working on VOD reviewing more consistently, and also just making sure that everyone's on the same page. Everyone's actively thinking about what we want to do together. And we've also had a new addition to the team. Not sure if it's announced. I don't think it is. So I won't want to say too much about it. But we've been doing our best to keep our focus during scrims, keep our focus during VOD reviews, make sure that we actually understand the meta better, and then when we get into a match, we should be more confident in our play and our abilities.
Well, honestly, it seems like you've got a great head on your shoulders when it comes to making some changes, and I honestly am very excited to see you make it back and see how you guys perform this time around. And last question for me is going to be, obviously, the cookie cutter. Do you have any shout outs that you want to give to anybody?
I always give a shout out to William and Enkezi, because they've been both pretty young players and have been started to play only recently in a top level. So they keep on surprising me of how well they're playing, and that they are confident in their play as well, which is something that most of the time younger players lack a little bit. But for them, I would say those two really they get a shout out.
Yeah, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for the interview.
Yeah, and once again, congratulations on your victory against Rebrand and for securing your spot moving into Contenders. We wish you, of course, the best of luck moving forward. And, I'm going to keep my eye out for that announcement you mentioned coming up for your team. So
For sure.
Thanks so much for joining us again. Really appreciate it.
No worries.
All right, folks. Well, that was our last match of the day for Overwatch here on the EU side. Not to fret, there's going to be more coming at you later. That's going to be the North American side, though. We saw a lot of different Overwatch coming through, but 2-3-0s for the most part. And Amyntas, a lot of eyes are on Sheer Cold and moving into the next round. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on them so far?
Well, I think has kind of came into this with very little outside information. A lot of it is kept behind closed doors in terms of how good they are, what they're going to play, what they like to do.
Right.
So far, it doesn't really matter what they do. They just win 3-0, right? And I'm really excited to see their matchup against Sheer Cold, because Sheer Cold is a team that, compared to the others that Aya has faced so far, they have experience. They have played the Avoideds, the Ayas in the past, those previous iterations of these one-trick teams. They know what to do. They've got a very capable coaching staff that can work on these kinds of things. So that that matchup is something that I really want to watch, and I'm really excited to see it. But overall, I'd say Aya and Sheer Cold looking uncontested on the EU side.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot of eyes on them, especially when they have their face-off later down the road on who's actually going to be that adaptable team, or maybe who is just so overwhelmingly dominant on those compositions they're comfortable with to take over and take the win for themselves. Hi
again. It's me, Solo Castamintis. That was it for us on the EU side of Trials. Really happy to finally be casting for both sides of the pond here. Very pleased to see some really dominant teams coming through today. Obviously, last time we casted Waffles and I on the NA side, a little more competitive. Standing up for 4 hours straight for casting. Woo-hoo. Nonetheless, really happy to be given this opportunity, and especially alongside someone as talented as Waffles. So really just wanted to close things out with a thank you to everybody over at Monkey Bubble Reflash putting on the production, and it's going to do it for me, at least.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, thanking everyone over at Monkey Bubble, and of course, the fantastic Prod Squad bringing you the actual game and bringing us to you on top of that. Amyntas, it was so great casting with you again, especially here over on the EU side for a little change of pace.
Yeah.
But my fellow Bay Area homie, it's time for us to sign off and let them take a break and see what comes up for the NA Contenders Trials. Folks, thanks for joining us and hope you have a great rest of your day.
GG's.